Houston, our instruments are showing that we have a incoming message from deep space. Repeat, Houston, we have an incoming message from deep space. Houston, we will begin playing message now. Houston, we're going to try and translate that up here. Hold for translation. Translation complete. We'll begin playing message now.
Hey, it's me, Melissa.
What do you do when the aliens invade? Take a shot of MK Ultra and watch Melissa Jade. Put on your tinfoil hat and tune right in. We got their crime spree, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, a complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what it all bends understanding. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Aliens is on the sun or in Area 51. Time travels, unravels, haunted castles, cops are baffled, potential experimental thoughts that make you transcendental. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa. Crime sprees, flat earth theories, government conspiracies, complex Mandela effects, unidentified objects, a mind expanding, fake moon landing, what it all bends understanding. It's me, Melissa. It's me, Melissa.
Hello, everybody. Happy Members Only Monday. Hey, poor Linda, Nana Banana, Tony, Chezzy, Forgets and Shiggles. I couldn't get that out. Hey, Shacto, Destination, Alexander, Hippie Chick, Mima, Drive Safe Mima, Lee the Bee, Kim. We're happy to have you back. Hi, it's not rocket science, dude. Kate for Big Little Voices, Creative Minds, Petunia, Bogart, Pinche, Lisa. Lisa, you are still green. It sucks when, hi, Chris. It sucks when it pulls your membership during a live, right? I know that sucks. Hi, Fragile Like a Bomb. Hi, Kathy 4. So we are doing part 2 of day 4 today. I know that we're getting close to the medical examiner, and I'm looking forward to it because I want to listen again, obviously to the whole trial, but I want to listen very carefully because there's still so many questions, right? And we still don't know exactly what happened. And so I just want to see what I could pick up. But I'm pretty sure we get the finger today, if I'm remembering it correctly, because she looked extra square when she gave the finger. And she's extra square in this outfit. So before we even start, you made it, Victoria. Our missing child for tonight's live stream is Alan Gray. Alan has been missing since January 11th, 2024 out of Indianapolis. He is 6 years old. He was last seen on January 11th. So if you or anyone you know has information on Alan's whereabouts, please contact the Fort Wayne Police Department at the number located in blue. Yeah, Kate, exactly. Well, thank you, whoever got it. I think Shay gifted yesterday. Homer gifted. B Crumbs. So you probably got one yesterday. Thank you to anybody who had gifted memberships, definitely. Okay, I'm like really anxious just to jump right into it. Hi, Sprinkle Dog Nut. He is very cute. Let me see. Okay. So they're coming back from lunch. She's looking like her Roblox character. Okay. All right. So let me get my thingy up so I can prepare. And let's see who is. We last left off with Leslie Hicks, and we were all pissed off because Leslie Hicks Hicks dropped the ball badly, and I hope she has retired since. Yeah, she looks like a lying loser is right. But all right, let's see what's up next, who our next witness is. They mentioned how she said her headphones were smashing her head, and that was a glimpse of Gan. She always gives away Gannon's injuries because she always makes it about herself. Always. All right.
Sergeant, if you would
Murder
step forward
suspect.
and raise your right hand, please, sir.
He's ramming his way through traffic.
Sergeant.
You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
See if I can fix
Good
this.
afternoon, sir.
Hi.
How are you doing?
Good. How are you?
Good. Will you please state your name for the record?
Yeah, it's Christopher Ganstine, Ganstine.
And while it may be apparent, how are you employed?
I'm employed with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
And what is your role at the sheriff's office?
My current role is I'm a patrol supervisor.
Sergeant?
Yes.
And in January of 2020, what was your role then?
I held the rank of detective sergeant, and I was assigned to the Colorado Springs Metro Vice and Narcotics Unit.
Oh.
And in terms of your role specifically
Shauna?
as it relates to that case, this case here, what were you tasked with doing with the Metro VNI unit?
One of our many tasks that we do is we do covert surveillance, and we were asked
Hey,
to
Arnie.
start a surveillance operation on the defendant.
Look at his face. Look at his face. I had the same face. Oh, shit. You're going to surveil T. Stauch, okay? His face says everything. Hi, Jinx. I love that. That face, I love it, man.
Boy, that escalated quickly. I mean, that really got out of hand fast.
It jumped up a notch.
His face. So we were tasked with doing surveillance on Miss Stauch. It looks like his life sucked into him, right? Just shit. But please, dude, carry on. Hey, Chef S.
And we were asked to start a surveillance operation on the defendant.
And as part of that surveillance on January 30th of 2020, where was your team located?
We had started early in the morning at, I believe it was the 10,000 block of Intrepid
Hey, Pinche.
Way, which was in the Lorson Ranch neighborhood.
Oh, no, that car is going to distract me.
And were you able to
Yeah.
make visual contact with the person you know to be Letecia?
Oh, wait a second. Hold on. Well, welcome, Peter. Thank you so much for becoming a member. And Chef Grandma, that's so kind of you. What a way to start the live. Please, if you got a membership just gifted and you got busted out, you are able to chat if you just got a membership. Please, please, please. Thank Chef Grandma in the chat. No, not yet, Chris. No, not yet. And Beetlebugs, thanks for becoming a member. They're busting themselves out in here. Welcome. We're so happy to have you part of Members Only Monday. Thank you for becoming a member. Hey, Carrie. Congrats, Carrie.
Stauch?
I was.
Okay. And do you see that same person here today in court?
I do.
The Roblox
Can you identify her by where she's seated in the courtroom?
She stood next to an attorney wearing a blue suit, and she's wearing a
blue suit.
purplish top.
Who did he just identify? Sir. Now listen, every witness we had up on this stand has identified Tisha's shirt as being a different color. We have heard pink, we have had purple, but sir, she is not wearing. I need to jump back because even the judge had to look up, like, did she change outfits? What did he just describe?
Okay. And do you see that same person here today in court?
I do.
Can you identify her by where she's seated in the courtroom?
She stood next to an attorney wearing a blue suit, and she's wearing a purplish top.
All right.
Okay.
Your Honor, may the record reflect that the sergeant has identified the defendant.
The record will so reflect. Go ahead.
Yeah, he was talking about.
Can you walk us through what you observed on January 30th with that surveillance?
Yeah, so we were told from the night before that the defendant and her daughter were more than likely staying at that address. When I got there, the vehicle that was in question that she was seen in the day before, I believe the white Jetta, was in the driveway. And so I had actually, since I got there first, I had set up shortly down the street with a clear view of the door and the vehicle. And I can't recall the exact time.
It did.
I know we were there for a little bit that they'd come out, but I observed the defendant and Harley, her daughter, walk out of the house and get in the vehicle. Harley got into the driver's seat and the defendant got into the rear right passenger seat.
And as at that point, after viewing the defendant get into the passenger seat, did the Metro VNI team continue to conduct surveillance?
And we started what we refer to as rolling surveillance. We're all in covert vehicles. And so we started from there and we just were tasked with following her and seeing what she was doing.
And as you continue to follow her, any sort of observation that you made about movements or type of movements?
Yeah, it was weird.
Dude, that chase.
Because there was only two people in the car. She was sitting in the back seat. And for most of the time that they were driving, she would either be completely slouched down so you couldn't actually see her in the back seat, or her head would just be up far enough to where you could kind of see her looking out the window. But she wasn't sitting like a normal person would sit, and she wasn't sitting in the front seat either.
And based on your training experience and what you've done, especially with the Metro VNI unit, how would you describe that type of behavior?
That behavior is common when we're following fugitives or following people that are, I don't want to call it surveillance conscious. I guess the term would be people that feel that they may be subject to law enforcement surveillance and are trying to hide themselves from that.
Avoid detection?
Avoid detection would be a good term.
At that point, is there a particular area, and if you could explain why a particular area was chosen in town to make contact with the defendant?
We had followed her for about an hour-ish, going to various places. Eventually, she ended up at a parking lot.
Oh, no. Chris, no. No, Kate. That's not. I know that he is describing Harley and Letecia in a car doing surveillance, but that car going 100 miles per hour is not a video of Harley. Okay. That's just an active car case that I guess was happening at the time that he also kept on the screen. But now I'm going to be laughing my ass off imagining Harley driving at that speed as he is describing this. Okay, so just I don't know why he has that up. It's distracting me too. But that is not footage of Harley and Letecia, okay?
But at the intersection of Woodman and Academy, it was the Marshall's clothing store. She had parked, or Harley had parked in the parking lot, and then they had walked inside the store. Shortly after they had walked inside the store, I was notified by Sheriff's Office investigations that they had obtained a warrant for the vehicle that they were driving, and that they'd also obtained an additional warrant for a cell phone that was either in the possession of Harley or her, that they had both been using. And they had asked that we basically come out from cover, from surveillance, and make contact and secure the vehicle, and then secure the phone.
Do you have a rough approximation of about what time?
So he's talking about the time that Letecia literally ditched Harley. It's when they were surveilling Letecia and Harley. They went to the Marshalls, remember, to buy underwear for Harley. Hey, MK. Hi, Little Red. Hi, Edith. Oh, no. I hope you feel better soon. Hi, Terry. So they were trying to get Harley's car and the phone. And when Letecia saw them, she literally booked the keys, told Harley not to tell them anything, and ran. She ran. Oh, they weren't there for them versus the vehicle and the phone. They had a warrant. But listen to how Letecia ditches her own child.
That would have been that you were given essentially the green light to move forward.
I believe it was the early afternoon.
And did you create a report in conjunction with your work on this case?
I did.
And would reviewing that report refresh your recollection as to the time?
It would. So 1:24 p.m.
Refreshes your recollection?
It does. Sorry.
Yeah, Michelle.
So and not everybody thinks in military time, but what is 1324?
That'd be 1:24 p.m.
Okay. At that time, can you explain for the jury what you did?
So I'd coordinated my team. I'd put some detectives inside the Michaels to maintain surveillance on those two. And then I had created a multi-person team outside. And the plan was that when they had checked out, we would be notified outside that they had. Once they had walked outside, we were going to have two units that have emergency lights just pull up, and we were going to do what we refer to as like a soft contact. Just, hey, it's the police. We got to get your phone, and we got to do this because we got a warrant. And that was the plan, that they'd come out and do that. Our main concern was obviously the phone and destruction of evidence, or being able to get back in the car and flee.
So in relation to the type of approach you use and decided to use, was that important?
I'm sorry, I couldn't overhear with the cough.
In terms of the type of approach that you wanted to use, a soft approach, that was important for the purposes of evidence?
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe for the jury what you were wearing, how you looked that day?
Yeah, so I was undercover, so I was wearing street clothes. However, we have what we refer to as raid vest or bus vest. So it's similar to this, except what I was wearing is all black. All of my stuff that I would normally have on a belt, kind of like what this is all on my vest, including my firearm. The main difference, it's black. The word sheriff is.
I'm just going to jump past this part.
It was in January. So
in all of those things that you're wearing on January 30th, what occurred when you went to approach the defendant?
So it didn't go as planned because Harley had stayed inside, and then the defendant had come out. Specifically, when the defendant came out, she was holding the keys to the car. And so that's a concern. We can't let her get into the vehicle. Where her vehicle was, I was parked directly next to her vehicle, in between her vehicle and the store. So I radioed to everybody that we would stick with Harley inside, and that I was going to get out and just contact the defendant myself and just let her know what was going on, that we had a warrant for the car and that I couldn't let her in and I need to get the keys. So I had gotten out of my car that time, and as she walked up to me, I'd approached her. Actually, I didn't really approach her. She'd gotten there about the same time, right in between the two cars.
Hi, diving.
While that approach is happening, can you describe the defendant's demeanor?
She was surprised.
Really?
So she kind of froze, and I said, "My name's Sergeant Ganstine with the Sheriff's Office. We have a search warrant for the vehicle. I can't let you into it. I'm going to need the keys." And basically, it was, like I said, it was a soft approach, just like I'm talking now. She didn't acknowledge me. She didn't say anything. Where she was, she had maneuvered kind of closer to her driver's door, and then just started slowly walking backwards.
Really?
Were there any observations that you noticed about her gaze or where she was looking, anything like that?
Yeah, so the two biggest things I noticed is she was just stuttering, like one word, like key, warrant, like just repeating what I was saying. And then she kept walking further back, and I told her, I said, "Relax, you're not in trouble. I just need the keys to the car. I can't let you into it." She continued to walk back, and then I noticed she started to turn her head behind her, because when that was going on. So there's my vehicle, her vehicle, and I'm here, she's here. So she can't go past me. She can't go left or right. So all she can do is basically turn around. And so I noticed that she was periodically turning around as she continued to walk backwards.
As she walked backwards, what did she do after that?
She turned and ran in a full sprint away from me. She had the keys in her hand. I was like, okay. Got on the radio and I was like, she's running. Like, I don't know what's going on. And I started running after as
she's such a guilty conscience. She's running. They're not even there for her. They are there for the fucking keys in her hand, but she ditches her child. That's the craziest part. She ditched her child. Thanks, Homer. That's so kind. Congratulations. If you just got Homer's membership, please thank him in the chat.
she was running away from me. She had taken the keys to the car and threw them across the parking lot. It took us a little bit of time to find them, but she had thrown them across the parking lot. And so she threw them one way and then kept running the other way from where she threw the keys.
Ultimately, after running after her, were you able to make contact?
Yes. To the two vehicles that had the lights that we were going to have come in, they rolled in. They got out. One drew his firearm and gave her commands, and she had stopped and got on the ground at that time. And then I didn't know what was going on. So I went up and handcuffed her at that time, detained her until we could find out what was going on and what had happened. And then she was given to two other people that had taken her back to a car.
Okay. But to be clear, at that time, she was not being arrested, correct?
No.
Okay. While you were present on scene with other law enforcement members, where was Harley Hunt?
She was, when that happened, she was walking out of the Michaels pretty like within a minute of that happening and then me detaining the defendant.
Okay. And with specifically as it relates to the approval of the search warrant for a cellular telephone, was that able to be gathered that day?
Yes. Initially, Harley was reluctant to give the phone. And so one of the detectives, she had it in her hand. One of the detectives just yanked it right out of her hand, so she couldn't manipulate or do anything with it.
Was there any interaction that you observed between the defendant and her daughter, Harley Hunt, while you were present on scene?
Yes. The defendant was fairly hysterical. She was screaming. She was yelling obscenities, things like that. Once she realized that we were also in contact with Harley, she started screaming at Harley, saying, "Don't say anything. Tell me what an attorney. Don't talk to him." Those type of statements. And we were trying to tell her we just need to get the phone.
And after obtaining the phone from Harley Hunt and securing Ms. Stauch, what did you do after that?
At that point, we had moved Harley because Harley started crying and she was fairly hysterical as well. But actually before that, I had talked to the defendant and I told her she needed to calm down. She's screaming. We're in a public parking lot. She's committing criminal acts and she doesn't need to get herself in trouble. So just to relax and calm down. And she did. Once I had that short conversation with her, she stopped yelling. And then we had moved Harley into the back of one of our patrol vehicles. We didn't close the door. We left the door open. And I just had a quick conversation with Harley to calm her down because she was crying and she was fairly hysterical.
Yeah. And were you able to calm her down?
Yeah. I told her, hey, here's the deal. We needed to get the phone. I don't know what your mom just did, but we're fine now and we're going to let you guys go.
Okay.
So.
And to be clear, up until that point, the defendant was not arrested. She didn't have any criminal summons or anything like that you provided to her, correct?
No, until we can secure the scene and find out exactly what the circumstances were behind the unusual reaction of me just trying to get car keys.
I don't know.
Given the scope of the investigation and its infancy, we didn't know if there was something more that we didn't know until we knew. So once we calmed everything down, got everyone calm, we released them because we accomplished what we needed to do, which was to execute the 2 warrants.
And after obtaining the cellular telephone, is that telephone then made available or accessible in evidence for other law enforcement officers to have access to?
It was given. We had multiple detectives from majors there from the sheriff's office, and it was given to them.
I wonder if Harley's going to.
I could never see chat summary.
I guess it's all going to be police officers today, maybe.
You talked a bit about your training experience and different things that you've observed over your career as a law enforcement officer. As it relates to this specific interaction with a defendant,
Megsy,
would you describe whether or not she was suffering a mental crisis, mental disease, or defect at that time?
So to get in, I've been a deputy for 19 years. I've had a lot of interactions, arrested a lot of people. And in terms of surveillance and a lot of that, when people are surprised by law enforcement, we've heard the term fight or flight. So people have to make 2 decisions when police tell them to do something. Number 1, am I going to do it? And if their answer is yes, we're done. If their answer is no, the second decision they need to make is, well, what am I going to do? Am I going to run or am I going to fight? And so those decisions have to be made. And in this particular interaction, based on the totality of hiding in the vehicle, taking steps to be covert, those are overt acts. Those aren't, subversive acts. And between that and then what we refer to as target glancing, which means when a person wants to run from us, or let's say they have a gun on them or whatever, a lot of times they'll actually look to see, they'll forecast where they're going to run. Because they'll be looking around, they're trying to find what their avenue of escape, and that's what they're going to do. Same thing if they have like a weapon on them, a lot of times they'll be touching it, or if they have a knife, we actually train that we see these things, and I've experienced those things through my 19-year career. So I saw the target glancing, and it was pretty evident when she was backing up and then started turning around that she was going to run. And
I know. I'm sorry,
in my mind, those were conscious decisions that were made.
Okay. But specifically as it relates to observing a severe mental disease or defect while you were present on scene observing her, did you observe that?
I did not.
Pass the witness, Your Honor.
Cross-examination.
Okay, cross.
Good afternoon. Sergeant Ganstine?
Yeah, Victor.
My name is Will Cook, and I represent Ms. Stauch. I'm going to ask you a few questions.
Stauch.
This encounter with Ms. Stauch and Harley Hunt, her daughter, took place on January 30th, 2020. That's correct? Okay. Had you ever seen Ms. Stauch in person before seeing her at this residence where you, I guess, were staking it?
Cook. Now, I know you guys are going for not guilty by reason of insanity, but if you're going to try to say if this is unusual behavior for her, come on, Cook. And it isn't interesting how they pass all of the important witnesses, but they get up and ask questions for the most stupidest shit.
Out or had it under surveillance?
I'd seen photos of her.
Photos? Okay. And is that how you recognized her when she came out of this house and got into the car with Harley?
Yeah, so when we do operations, we have briefing plans where we go over photos and all that other stuff.
Okay.
We love you, Meg.
Had you seen photos of Harley?
I can't recall.
Okay. And you've testified that it seemed like she was acting suspiciously, ducking down in the back seat of the car. Seemed like she was avoiding detection.
She wasn't in the vehicle consistent with the normal motoring public driving around. Yes.
Okay.
Hey, Lise Lamons.
But you said it seemed like she was avoiding detection or specifically contacts with law enforcement.
That was my impression. Yes.
Okay. So the person driving her around while she's doing this is also helping her to avoid detection or contact with law enforcement.
I can't speak to her intentions. I can only speak to my observations.
Exactly.
My observations of her and her driving was not consistent with somebody that's actively trying to evade surveillance.
Fair enough.
What would evading surveillance be?
When we follow individuals, drivers specifically, that feel that they're being followed by law enforcement, there's a number of countermeasures essentially that people will take. They'll make U-turns, run red lights, go down one-way streets, or go down to cul-de-sacs and turn around to see if anybody's following them, randomly pull over. It's in our training, our experience, it's pretty apparent when somebody's doing that, and I didn't see that here.
And that's what drivers will do to avoid contact or be
Oh
followed.
my
Yeah,
God.
if there's multiple people in the vehicle, the only one that can make those decisions to do that would be the driver. They're the only ones in control of the vehicle.
Was Letecia Stauch on January 30th, when you had your interaction with her, was she a person of interest or a suspect in the death of Ganstine Stauch? I'm
You-
sorry.
I wouldn't.
Sir, they didn't know Gannon was dead on the 30th of January 2020. They're asking questions. They already know what the answer is going to be. Disappearance, but you said death.
In my limited observation, because I wasn't part of the investigations division, is it was relayed to me that there was concerns and she was potentially a person of interest. I never actually heard the term that she would be a quote suspect.
And when you were following them, did you know the driver of the vehicle at that time was Harley Hunt?
I had a high probability it was, based on the information I received last night and who was in the vehicle, and the vehicle was Harley's vehicle.
So you had gotten information that she was possibly staying at this residence with her daughter.
Yeah, we had a surveillance operation the day before, and I was monitoring that.
The residence they're referring to is Harley's friend, because as you're going to see soon, the night before is when Letecia ditched the hospital. When she went to the Bethel interview, they took the tiki wand. She claimed that she was having chest pains. They took her to the hospital, and then she broke out, and she had Harley and her friend pick her up. She stayed the night at the friend's house. The next morning is when this happened at Michael's, okay?
That operation the entire night.
Okay. Did you have your body camera on? I see right here in the courtroom, you've got your body camera. It looks like the big black cell phone.
At that time, no, I was worked in undercover capacity, and undercover officers don't carry body worn generally.
So you had no body worn camera at
I did
that
not.
time. Did any of the other deputies or law enforcement officers at the marshals?
Anybody that was on my team would not have had one. This was 3 years ago. Obviously, there's been legislative changes since then that have changed who has to carry them. It was not normal at that time for our investigations people to carry them either when doing contacts, because they weren't specifically required like they are now.
Okay. Was Harley Hunt, since you knew her, she was at the residence, she was Miss Stauch's daughter, was she a person of interest in this investigation into the missing, I guess at this time he was a missing person, but later death of Ganstine Stauch?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. Thank you, MK. You're always so kind. Thank you. MK just gifted memberships. If you just got busted out, please make sure to thank MK. That was very, very awesome. Thank you so much. And welcome to our new members for Members Only Monday.
Have you ever been qualified as an expert diagnosing any of the diseases, mental health diseases from the DSM-4 or 5?
I've not been qualified as an expert in that, no.
Okay. And you've never gone to school for or gotten any sort of degrees in psychology or psychiatry or anything? You've never been called as an expert witness to testify as to that?
Excuse me, Mr. Cook, but has he even testified to anything regarding those matters? So you're asking, because you know what the answer is, and he's going to say no, but it doesn't even correlate to anything he testified to.
I've never been called as an expert witness, no.
Okay. Just a second, Your Honor.
Okay,
Did I
guys,
do good,
one thing you need to know
Tortellini?
about
Oh,
me.
I have. Thank you,
Thank
Sergeant.
you.
I like police
Redirect.
chases too.
All right,
We have a live
redirect.
police chase out of Los Angeles right now that we're showing to the bottom right hand corner. As soon as this is done, we're going to go back to the zoomed in defendant cam. This is a murder suspect who was
Rookie,
already
Yes.
carjacked a second vehicle. I believe
Sergeant.
there's people in that vehicle as well. We're just following that.
As
live from
part
the corner.
of a unit conducting surveillance, why would it not be feasible to wear a body worn camera?
Well, number one, we're in undercover capacity. We don't want other people to see. Basically, I don't want anyone to know my detectives and who they are, what they look like, or anything else. Certainly, body-worn camera evidence is discoverable, and that could potentially put my detectives' lives in danger that are working significant undercover operations involving criminal. We purposely hide our detectives' identity to the point to where they have different names and everything.
In terms of how obvious it would be to have a camera in the center of your chest, would that also be an issue as well?
Well, if we were wearing a camera, it would
I started
probably
mine.
burn us, if you want to call it that. I think people would realize we were the police really quickly, and majority of our job is done behind the scenes, and people don't know that we're there. So,
No further questions, Your Honor.
All right. Do any of the jurors have any questions for
Jurors?
Sergeant Ganstine?
Yeah, right, hippie chick. Duh.
All right. Thank you, sir.
All
You may
right,
step down.
next.
thank you.
Witness.
Press.
All right, we got Michael Allen.
Okay, attempted murder suspect in the
Dr. Kelly, if you
live
would step
chase in the
forward
bottom
and
right
raise your right
corner.
hand, please, sir.
Dr. Kelly.
You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this man will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Your Honor.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step to the stand.
Good afternoon, Dr. Kelly. How are you doing?
Good afternoon.
Will you please introduce yourself to our jury and then spell your name for the record?
I'm Dr. Leon Kelly, Leonkelly.
Dr. Kelly, what is your occupation?
I am the El Paso County Coroner and Chief Medical Examiner.
How long have you been in that type of a role?
I've been with the coroner's office since 2008 as the deputy chief until 2018, which I was elected as the coroner and chief medical examiner. And then I was reelected in 2022.
Can you tell the jury about your education that allows you to do that job?
I have a bachelor's of science in biology from Indiana University. I have a medical degree from Indiana University School of Medicine. Following that, I completed 4 years in training in anatomic and clinical pathology at Penrose St. Francis here in Colorado Springs. And then following that, I completed a 1-year fellowship in forensic pathology at the University of Texas in Dallas. So I'm board certified in anatomic pathology.
I'm just going to jump forward his credentials.
Do you also have certifications?
In National Association of Medical Pathology.
They're going to put him in as an expert.
What about publications? Or any
On
expert witness?
I have
In what areas?
sciences in California.
Would move.
No objection, Your Honor.
The witness will
Okay.
be so qualified. Go ahead.
He's an expert
And
witness.
just so we're all on the same page, Doctor, when we say the word pathology, what do we mean on that?
Pathology is a field of medicine defined essentially as the study of disease or injury.
And then what about forensic pathology?
Forensic pathology is a subset of pathology that deals specifically with deaths that occur in individuals suddenly, unexpectedly, or of anything non-natural. And so it's a field focused specifically on determining cause and manner of death and individuals who've died under those suspicious or injurious circumstances.
Doctor, back in January of 2020, what was your role then as far as, I guess just what was your role back then?
January 2020, I was the elected coroner and chief medical examiner for El Paso County.
Did you get involved in the criminal investigation of the Ganstine Stauch murder?
I did.
Can you tell the jury how that happened, how you got involved in that?
There were human remains discovered in Florida. There was a tentative identification as to who that individual was, but not a positive scientific identification. To date, when I became involved, they weren't yet able to definitively identify the individual as Ganstine Stauch. And so I was contacted by our local district attorney.
Let me know if you guys want me to. He's not on for long, but I'm pretty sure he just does the actual identification of Janine as the coroner and chief medical examiner. If you guys want me to jump, I could jump. Just let me know.
His office and asked if I could help identify him. And so the medical examiner's office there in Florida had yet to be able to accomplish that.
Bella.
And I've had good luck and experience in identifying individuals who had been deceased for a long time. So I said, yes, let's bring the remains, or at least portion.
Okay. All he's going to testify to is how he went about identifying Janine's remains, and that they went from the preemptive identification of Janine to indeed verify, identifying him as the coroner. Okay.
You swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
I do.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the stand.
New phone, who dis?
Good afternoon, Ms. Williams. Sorry, Your Honor.
That's all right.
Would you state your name for the record?
Yes, my name is Marissa Williams.
And where are you currently employed?
I'm employed with the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
How long have you been with the Sheriff's Office?
For approximately 11 years.
And in 2020, what was the nature of your roles and responsibility with El Paso County Sheriff's Office?
I was assigned to the investigations division as a detective.
And as it relates to your work, in this case, fair to say that you were the jack of all trades?
Yes, although primarily handled the financial responsibilities.
Okay. In terms of obtaining financial responsibilities, can you explain what you mean by that?
Yes. I initially took interest in, tracking the financial records of the Stauches to determine what type of activity they had been taking part in during the time that Gannon went missing.
And so as part of that, would you have been involved in applications for search warrants, things like that?
That's correct.
Okay, right.
Did you also...
I literally just got done saying, why does she look like she's about to cry? And MK's like, I bet this witness is fun at parties. Doesn't she look like on the verge of, she just, no offense, but she looks like she's like in a Zoloft commercial, but before, she's very sad.
So have observations of other law enforcement officers collecting evidence, for example?
Yes, ma'am. There were other officers and investigators, both with the DA's office and the FBI, assisting the El Paso County Sheriff's Office in collecting the type of records I was collecting as well.
Okay. And I'll direct your attention to January 28th of 2020. Were you on duty that day?
Yes, ma'am.
And were you present for an interview, or at least a portion of an interview that occurred that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Where was that?
The interview was at the El Paso County Sheriff's Office. I observed Detective Mark Riley interviewing Eugene Al Stauch.
Okay. And for other interviews that may have been conducted with Letecia Stauch, were you present for any of those?
I was present, but I did not observe the full interviews.
Okay.
He's in the chat.
I will direct your attention to observations of Letecia Stauch. Did you see her in person?
Yes, I did meet her in person.
Okay. And is there a particular date you recall seeing her in person?
Yes, it was Wednesday, January 29th at the El Paso County Sheriff's Office.
Okay. And on that date...
That's the interview. That's the infamous interview. Just for context, where Letecia gets the Tegu on, washed, arrives late, has the interview with Bethel. This is where she claimed she was raped. Then they took her cell phone. She had heart issues. Ambulances came in, took her to the hospital, and then she ditched. Okay, that's the day she's talking about.
Can you generally describe her demeanor How would you describe her demeanor?
She was evasive with questions. She was, I would say, upset, but not in the same way that you would expect with a parent that's missing a child.
Speculation.
I'll sustain the objection on the different grounds. I think she needs to lay a little bit more foundation as to her experience regarding contacts with parents of missing children.
And again, the degree that she's going to be basing it on an observation or opinion on her work experience, I'm objecting under Stewart.
All right, and under People versus Froehler, 373 Pacific 3rd, 672 Colorado Appellate 2015, I don't think that the Stewart standard regarding accident reconstructionist applies. This doesn't involve specialized training. This does involve her experience regarding contacts with other individuals who may have been similarly situated. The objection's overruled.
Hell yeah, Werner.
In terms of your experience in law enforcement over the years, have you had contact with a variety of suspects, a person of interest, that sort of thing?
Yes, I have, probably hundreds.
Have you been exposed to parents of missing children as well?
Yes.
Parents of runaways?
Yes.
And in terms of your training experience, specifically as it relates to being around parents of missing children, how would you describe the defendant's demeanor on January 29th of 2020?
My experience with parents of missing children or runaways comes from having worked on patrol during the years of 2014 through 2018. And most parents are primarily concerned with doing something to track down their child, such as contacting friends, going out and searching for their child, or providing any type of evidence that would assist law enforcement in doing the same. But Ms. Stauch, on the other hand, was bothered by the fact that she had to come in and talk with law enforcement, and was more concerned about her well-being than her missing sons.
In terms of being present on scene, and again, based on your training experience as it relates to your role as a detective, but also as on patrol, did it appear to you at that time that she was experiencing a severe mental disease, defect, or crisis?
And I'm going to object to this testimony in general as to these officers laying an opinion that they lack the proper foundation with this. I'm going to specifically refer the court to People v. Medina, Colorado Supreme Court, 521 P2D 1257, Colorado Supreme Court, 1974.
Right. Ms. Gratiano.
Your Honor, for the reasons that we've had prior law enforcement officers explain their training experience and their observations while on patrol or other investigations, she's laid sufficient foundation to testify to that answer.
And Your Honor, Medina specifically deals with law enforcement officers that says that the limited interaction they've had is not sufficient for any opinion regarding them.
All right. Any further record? All right, ladies and gentlemen, here's what's going on. This officer cannot testify about whether or not someone has a mental disease or defect in the form or in the same fashion that a psychiatrist would be able to testify as to whether or not somebody has a mental disease or defect. However, I do think that this officer can testify based upon her contacts with a defendant as to how she interpreted her, the defendant's mental status. I think that's a common issue that we all deal with. Some people are, when we talk with somebody, we all understand that someone may be under some stress, someone may be acting differently, those sorts of things. I think that this officer can testify about that. However, this officer cannot testify about whether or not she has a specific mental defect or disease, and it will go to weight, not admissibility. Ms. Gratiano.
In terms of understanding conversations that were occurring that day, how would you describe how the defendant answered questions?
I think she answered questions competently. She understood the questions that were being asked. There was no indication that she did not understand the questions or failed to understand language that was being spoken.
At any point, did she refer to herself or address anyone by a different name?
Yeah, that was weird.
Referring to herself.
Not that I recall.
And in terms of her overall awareness of the situation, how would you describe that on January 29th of 2020? How would you describe her demeanor?
Yes, pointer
awareness,
lover.
awareness
Really
as
sure how to answer.
yeah.
Fucking thank
awareness
you,
as
pointer
to where
lover.
she was,
Curtis.
what was being done, what she was being asked, etc.
I think she fully understood the gravity of the situation because the El Paso County Sheriff's Office had asked her many times to come in for an interview and to assist in providing some evidence about the location of her stepson's whereabouts.
In terms of other documents that you assisted in retrieving from other law enforcement members, were you part of retrieving rental agreement from Avis Rental? Does that sound familiar to you?
Yes, ma'am, it does.
Okay. And who did you assist in that process, if you did?
No, I was the one who collected the Avis budget rental records in
I just want to
March,
give her a
on
hug.
March 20th, I believe.
You're under permission to approach the witness with what has been marked as People's Exhibit 232.
Goodness.
Recognize yourself with People's Exhibit 232. Do you recognize it?
Yes, ma'am. This is a different rental record than the one that I had referred to as collecting in March.
Okay. And when you talk about, you testified as to having contact with Avis, who in particular did you have contact with at Avis? Would have been a manager or somebody at the counter?
I don't recall the name of the person for this particular record. I recall for the other one, but not for this one.
Okay.
May I refer to my report?
You can. If that would refresh your recollection.
Yes, ma'am.
Hi, Fluffy and Katie.
And in terms of a specific name, I'm not asking you for a specific name, but just what representative from Avis you had contact with.
Sure.
No, not at all, Maxie. Oh, tell her we love her and miss her, Michelle.
Part of it's coming back. We're showing the highlights.
Just a general process of retrieving, for example, a document from a business. How do you go about doing that? That just might be helpful to start.
So yes, the process for collecting evidence from rental car business such as Avis is that I issue a court order or a search warrant addressed to the preferred person was at. I did.
And was a representative able to provide you with documentation?
Yes, ma'am. They provided the rental agreement that showed the signed agreement. It had been signed by Letecia Stauch, and I believe it was signed on Tuesday, January 28th, for a.
Oh, I see who's coming up next.
It was for.
Okay,
for
lady.
sedan.
Come on, lady.
And
she rented
that
the car. We got it.
And to be clear, when you're retrieving things, you're retrieving a rental agreement, but are you retrieving documents that come with that rental agreement from that company?
Kurt, I did a Patreon live yesterday, so I was trying to remember the name of the guy who Crime Lines and Lies interviewed during the Quentin Simon case, and it was Curtis. So I couldn't remember the name though. So Pointer Lover just came in and said it was Curtis. Thank you. The next witness is good.
Yes, ma'am.
such as Exhibit 232.
Yes, ma'am.
So can you explain how you recognize what 232 generally is?
I recognize it because I've seen it before during the time I collected it.
Okay. And because you've seen it before, would you say it's a fair and accurate representation of the rental agreement documents you retrieved from the Avis representative that day?
Yes, ma'am.
Your Honor, at this time, we would move for the admission of People's Exhibit 232.
Mr. Tellini, Exhibit 232 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Great. In terms of other work in this case, you explained that you collected various financial documents. Did you also have an opportunity to review those financial documents?
Most of them I did, yes.
And overall, were you able to, along with other law enforcement members, able to track movements or charges, if you will, of the defendant through those financial documents?
Yes.
Your Honor, we'll pass the witness.
Cross-examination. Do any of the jurors have any questions for Detective Williams? No? Well, hold on.
Your Honor, I'm sorry.
Are we passing or not passing?
Your Honor, just pursuant to the stipulations that we've already put on the record,
Yes.
that have to deal with USAA records and American Express records, we've already asked for that stipulation to be put on the record.
And it has been, and I assume that this relates to some of that.
Yes, Your Honor.
Okay. All right. Do any of the jurors have any questions for Detective Williams? No? All right. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
And Your Honor, for the purposes of the record, we are admitting People's Exhibit 231, which relates to that stipulation.
Okay, so I'm
Okay.
going forward to the next witness.
Are you doing that just as part of are you going to have a witness with that, or are you just admitting the exhibit?
We're just
Okay,
admitting the
are you guys
exhibit.
ready for this?
I'll be seated. Court will recall 20 CR 1358, People versus Letecia Stauch. Record should reflect the
I
jury
don't know
has
what
returned to the
happened,
courtroom.
Maxie. I think Tony's fine. I didn't see anything. But this next witness is Harley's friend. How cringy this is about to be, okay?
Prosecution, call your next witness, please.
Thank you, Your Honor. We would call Janine Sanchez.
All right.
All right, let's see if I can get a little better zoom on her.
So just come on. Oh, wait, that's for you.
Yeah. Oh, right.
Does that work?
Ms. Sanchez, if you would raise your right hand, please. Do you swear affirm the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand.
Yes,
Please watch your
I will.
step as you step into the stand.
Good afternoon, ma'am. Will you please introduce yourself to our jurors and spell your first and last name for the record?
Yes, my name is Janine Sanchez, JANINE SANCHEZ.
Ms. Sanchez, I want to just do some preliminary stuff with you. You live here in Colorado Springs?
Yes,
And I'm going to talk specifically about January of 2020, so 3 years ago. Where were you living back in January of 2020?
in Lorson Ranch.
Were you familiar with a young lady by the name of Harley Hunt?
Yes.
How did you know Miss Harley Hunt?
So we worked together at Massage Envy, and then we'd occasionally go to Bible study together.
Are you similar in age with her?
I'm about a couple years older than her.
Okay. And you said you worked at Massage Envy. Did you both share the same type of job, or did you have different jobs
Go
at
ahead,
that
Letecia.
employer?
We were both receptionists.
Would you see each other often at work?
I would say, depending on the shift, yes.
Okay. And then you mentioned that you would sometimes go to Bible studies together. Did you ever hang out any other times outside of work besides those types of gatherings?
No.
Okay. Did you have each other's phone numbers?
Yes.
Would you sometimes text with each other?
Yes.
Would that include potentially sending jokes, memes, TikToks, that kind of thing?
Yes, we would send TikToks to each other.
TikTok is quite controversial these days, isn't it?
Yes.
How would you describe Harley's demeanor?
She was very nice.
Was she social or was she shy?
She was both. She was shy at first, and then once you got to know her, she was more social.
Would you say she had a positive personality or a negative personality?
Positive.
Bubbly or angry?
Bubbly.
Okay. Was she nice to people or mean to people?
She was nice.
Multiple
And then
choice
how would
questions
she
are best.
interact with customers that would come into Massage Envy?
She was really nice to them.
Was she professional also?
Interesting, Britt.
Yes.
Little leading. But
Had you
they're
ever
allowing
been
it.
over to her house?
No.
Prior to a specific time that we're going to get to in just a moment, did you ever have an occasion to meet any of her family members?
No.
Okay. At some point, did you become aware that her younger brother was missing?
Yes.
I'm not asking you for
No,
what was said,
Mikey.
but did you actually get a text from Harley regarding that specific incident?
Yes.
Do you remember working with her on Wednesday, January 29th?
It was a long time ago, so I don't remember exact dates.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to help you orient yourself, and it makes perfect sense. It's over 3 years ago. We've had previous testimony that Gannon went missing on January 27th, which was a Monday. And then did you talk to a detective in this case?
Yes.
Do you remember talking about the last time you might have worked with Harley with that detective?
Yes.
Okay. And if I showed you that report, would that help you remember what day that was you were referencing last seeing Harley?
Yes.
Okay. In report, I want you to look at this last paragraph on the page and read through it and then tell me when you're done.
This.
That paragraph.
I'm sorry, Nene. She is beautiful, Lori.
Yes.
Did that refresh your memory as to the last time you had worked with Harley?
Yes.
What day was that?
The 29th.
Was that Wednesday, January 29th?
Yes.
What was, again, not asking you for any statements that Harley made to you, but what was Harley's demeanor like on that day?
She was a little frantic. Just not her usual self.
Do you remember telling the detective whether she was crying or not?
Yes.
And was she crying in your memory?
Yes.
Okay.
Really
At some
sad.
point, were you with Harley and picked up Harley's mother from the hospital?
Yes.
Tell the jury.
Okay, so again, just to put this in chronological order for you guys, 2 days after Gannon's murder, this would be Wednesday, Harley went to work at Massage Envy. She was crying at work. She was frantic. God only knows what it was like 2 days in. It's the same day Letecia would be at the Bethel interview after just moving Gannon's body. Harley leaves, and she's with her friend. Her friend's in the passenger seat of Harley's vehicle. Letecia called Harley from the hospital phone and says, "You got to pick me up. Meet me at the Taco Bell across the street from the hospital." And Letecia books it from the hospital. And then she gets in the car with Harley and Harley's friend in the passenger seat, and Letecia's in the back seat. Okay.
About that again, whose car were you in?
We were in Harley's car.
Who was driving that vehicle?
Harley.
In what seat were you sitting in?
I was in the front seat.
What hospital did you go to pick up her mother?
I'm not sure the name, but it's somewhere around here in the downtown Spring area.
Memorial Hospital, does that sound correct?
I'm not sure.
That's okay. So, but you're just remembering it as a downtown hospital somewhere
Yes.
fairly close to where we are now.
Yes.
Okay. Can you describe, as you're in the car with Harley, how she was acting then? Was she still acting like she was crying or upset?
No,
How was she acting now?
just normal.
Okay. Do you remember talking to the detective about how she was acting?
In the car? Or-
Yes, while you're in the car with her at the hospital?
I don't remember.
Okay. Do you remember the Harley's mother getting into the car with you?
Yes.
Did Harley's demeanor change when her mother got into the car with you all?
No.
Yes,
Okay.
it did.
Do you remember talking to the detective about her, about Harley acting timid and overwhelmed at that time?
Yes.
Was that different than when she was crying earlier?
Yes, she had kind of calmed down a bit in the car versus earlier when she was crying.
Okay. When Harley's mother got into the car, I may have already asked you this, so if I did, I apologize. Where did she get into the car?
In the back seat.
Okay. So did that mean that Harley's still driving, you're in the front passenger seat, and mother is in the back seat?
Yes.
Was she sitting behind you or behind Harley?
In the middle.
In the middle. Okay. Do you remember
Yes,
telling the
Maxie.
detective anything about whether Harley was quieter or louder than normal during this car ride from the hospital to your house?
We definitely weren't talking for the car ride. It was more just quiet.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do you remember telling the detective that Harley was quieter than normal?
Yes.
Okay. And I think I've already asked you this in an implied way, but this time that you're now seeing Harley's mother, had you ever seen her before?
No.
Do you see her here in the courtroom?
Yes.
Will you please point her out and describe what she's wearing?
Yes. Pink shirt right in the corner over here.
And you're using your right hand to point over to my
Yes.
left over here?
Yes.
All right, ask to the record reflect that she's identified the defendant.
That Lego
Record
in
will
the
so
corner.
reflect. Go ahead.
How would you describe the defendant's demeanor or actions when she got in the car?
What do you mean by that?
Well, how was she acting?
It was my first time meeting her, so I can't really describe how else she would be acting, but I'd say normal.
Okay.
Yeah.
So not doing anything out of the ordinary?
No.
Okay. Do you remember her making any statements to you or just to anybody while she was in the car?
No.
Do you remember talking to the detective about her getting into the car?
Yes.
Do you remember telling the detective that the defendant apologized for having to stay at your house?
Yes.
Do you remember talking to the detective about the defendant's demeanor in the car?
No.
How she's acting?
No.
Okay. You don't remember that at all? Do you remember telling the detective that the defendant was acting weird?
No.
Okay. Do you remember a specific statement that the defendant made to you when she got into the car?
Yes, I do remember that one
Okay.
statement.
And what was that one statement?
Just jokingly how she was joking about saying, basically, hope you don't think we're a bunch of murderers.
So
Look
the
at
defendant said
Leticia's
that
reaction.
to you.
Yes.
Did you find that to be weird?
Yes. But other than that, the demeanor wasn't weird, just that one statement.
Okay. So she wasn't acting like she was losing her mind or anything like that?
No.
Guilty conscience.
Do you remember whether the defendant started using Harley's her cell phone?
Yes.
Tell the jury what you remember about that.
I was in the front passenger seat, and her mom was in the back seat. Harley's mom was in the back seat, and I remember her taking her phone, like Harley's phone, to the back and kind of texting people. I'm not sure who.
So what you remember is that Harley had her phone in the front seat?
Yes.
And then the defendant, did she reach up and take the phone from the front seat?
Yes.
And how did you know?
You have to remember, earlier in the day, Leticia's phone was seized while at the interview with Bethel, okay?
Know that she was texting using Harley's phone?
Because I was there when she took Harley's phone in the back.
Okay. I guess, could you hear the keyboard clicks or anything like that? Or how did you know that she was sending texts?
She made a remark saying, "Hey, can I see your phone real quick?"
Okay. She being the defendant made that
Yes.
comment. Okay.
Bless her heart.
Did you get a text from Harley's phone while the defendant had Harley's phone?
Yes.
Did that seem odd to you?
Very.
Why was that odd?
Because we were all in the car together, so there's really no point to be texting when we were all there.
And what did that text say, if you remember?
Not sure exact wording, but basically if her mom could stay as well.
Did that seem to you to be then that it was almost like Harley was asking you if her mom could stay with you at your house? That's kind of a confusion.
This witness is struggling, but I have the case files. What exactly happened is Harley is driving. Her friend is in the passenger seat. Letecia's in the back seat, sitting in the middle of the back seat. She takes Harley's phone. She even makes a comment saying that she needs to shut off the GPS location. Okay, I hope you don't think we're a bunch of murderers. Harley had plans to stay at this friend's house. Okay, Janine. When Letecia took her phone from the back seat, Letecia texts Janine from Harley's phone saying, "Hey, can my mom sleep over too?" Now, Janine is in the passenger seat. She knows Harley has 10-2, hands on the wheel. She knows it's not Harley texting her. It's Letecia right over her shoulder texting her. But she worded it in a way, not even "can I stay there too?" "Can my mom stay there too?" As if it was Harley. This is how out of sync Letecia's fucking head was, okay? Not insane. But can you imagine how awkward that would be for her to be sitting in the passenger seat and then all of a sudden, bing, your phone is going off. It's Harley's phone, but it's her mom. "Hey, can my mom sleep over too?" Oh my God.
Did that seem to you to be then that it was almost like Harley was asking you if her mom could stay with you at your house? That's kind of a confusing question. I know.
Yeah. More that Harley had originally asked to stay over and then later on asked if her mom could stay as well.
Okay, but really it was her mom asking on her own using Harley's phone if she could stay.
Yes.
Did that seem weird to you since you're sitting right there and it could have been verbally said as opposed to texted?
Yes.
Do you remember a particular time when the defendant said something about turning off location services?
Yes.
Tell the jury about that.
It's been a while, but I remember that they had turned off Harley's location service basically on her phone.
Okay, so let's dive into that just a little bit more. Is this while the defendant has Harley's phone?
I do not remember.
Okay. What does location services mean to you?
Just basically seeing where someone's at based off of Google Maps.
Okay.
Yeah, Roro. Katie.
This is just crazy. Every time we talk to a new witness, it just gets.
Do you remember the defendant making a statement while holding Harley's phone that she was turning off Harley's cell phone location services?
I do not.
Okay. If I show you a report, would that refresh your memory?
Yes.
Your Honor, may I approach the witness?
You may, go ahead.
Wish they did this beforehand.
Might have been a little easier.
Yes.
They're both receptionists at the same massage envy store. And Haley's like, "Hey, can I stay with you tonight?"
It is scary how your
By the
memory
way,
doesn't
pick up my
retain
mom,
things
and then
for
while
a
the
while.
mom's there in the car, is it okay if my mom stays too? So texts the mom to the friend, while she's in the back seat. Just, yeah. After the comment she said is, I hope you don't think we're murderers.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
That refresh your memory?
Yes.
So do you remember the defendant making a comment about turning off location services?
Yes.
What did the defendant say about that
Just that she was turning off her location on her phone.
on Harley's phone?
Yes.
And do you remember her saying because she had to?
Yes.
And then what did the defendant do with Harley's phone after that?
After turning off the location,
Yes.
I believe she still had her phone.
Okay. Do you remember telling the detective that she then passed the phone back to Harley?
Oh, Jesus.
I do not remember.
Okay.
Sorry.
If I show you the report again, would that refresh?
Yes.
Girl, you
And
just
I know
read
this has
the
been a long
report.
time, so don't worry about it.
I'm not going at her because it's nerve wracking. You have all of the cameras, you're in the courtroom, but I'm just like, from the sidelines, come on, like.
That refresh your memory?
Yes.
So after the defendant turned off Harley's cell phone location services, do you remember
Roro, it is.
the defendant passing Harley's phone back to Harley?
Yes.
Yes, Harley.
Do you remember while you were still at the hospital, the defendant making a statement about evidence being found?
Yes.
What did she say about that?
Yes, Lori.
She was just kind of talking about how they thought they had found evidence on her.
And then also, did she mention finding evidence at the house? Do you remember that?
Oh, gosh.
I do not.
Okay, if I show you the report again.
Oh,
refresh my memory?
God,
Okay.
girl. Listen. Maybe read and glance the whole report so we don't have to keep doing this because it's coming off unreliable, even though she's not unreliable. It's just the nerves, and 3 years had passed. But Letecia's looking at her like she's crazy. Meanwhile, no, at the hospital, they were preserving evidence and they got a warrant because of the evidence on your person. So you're acting like that statement she made was crazy when it accurately lines up to what was happening.
Just let her read the whole
You're just
report.
getting my steps in.
A couple years older than Haley. She's probably in early
Harley.
20s.
Do you remember the defendant making a mention about there being evidence found at the house?
Yes.
What did she say about that?
Just about like the carpet
They
situation.
can't let you keep the report because they can't have you reading from the report. They can have you refresh your memory by glancing at the report, but they can't just sit there and let her read it from the report, if that makes sense.
There was like a fire with the carpet.
Okay. Hold on just a moment. And again, I'm not asking you for any comments from Harley Hunt at this point, but did the defendant ever say anything to you about why her and her daughter wanted to stay at your house?
So Harley was just wanting to stay at my house because she didn't really feel comfortable at her own house. I'm not really sure why her mom wanted to stay at my house. With the whole texting thing, that was kind of odd, but we were already at my house, so I just let them both stay.
Was it strange to you that both Harley and her mom were now staying at the house as opposed to just Harley as originally arranged?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Did it make it even more strange that this is also at the time that Harley's young little brother was also missing?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Oh,
Did she get a sleeping bag?
Good question. How was her behavior, the defendant's behavior at your house?
Really, we just walked into my house, talked for a little bit, and then I let them get settled in the living room, and then I just went upstairs.
Okay, so you have a 2-story house?
It's technically a 3, but the basement's unfinished.
Okay, so is your bedroom upstairs?
On the 2nd floor.
And then
Technically the 3rd floor.
okay.
Yeah.
And then where did they stay? Harley and her mother?
On the second floor, when you first enter the ground level.
Okay. Did you hear any strange noises the night that they stayed the night there?
No.
Did the defendant do anything out, that didn't make any sense or loud or anything like that?
No.
Did she act as if any other house guest would act while she was there?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Mr. Cook, cross-examination.
I don't have any questions. for this
No
witness. Thank you.
questions.
Do any of the jurors have any questions for Ms. Sanchez? No? All right. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down. Watch your step.
They had to search that poor girl's house. Sure did.
So we probably have about an hour left of court tonight.
Prosecution, call your next witness, please.
Based on what we overheard the two attorneys, prosecution defense.
Good afternoon,
discuss.
Judge. We'd call Nicole Mobley.
Oh,
Nicole Mobley.
Nicole Mobley. Are you guys ready for this?
You want to get this?
Ms. Mobley, if you would step forward and raise your right hand, please, ma'am.
Are you guys
Said,
ready?
who's going to cross Nicole? And they're like, me?
Just go right up to that.
See if they have any cross.
Right there's fine. For right now,
Fucking Nicole.
you swear from the testimony about to give in this matter will be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Yes.
Go ahead and have a seat in the witness stand. Please watch your step as you step into the
You and
stand.
Leslie should go on the date.
Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm okay. How are you?
You're a little nervous, right?
Just a little bit.
It's okay. You're not the only one, okay?
Okay.
Could you please introduce yourself to the jury and spell your first and last name?
Nicole Mobley, Nicole Mobley.
M-O-U-S-E.
And Miss Mobley, where do you reside?
Lorson Ranch.
May I approach, Your Honor?
Me?
I'm going to show you what's been introduced into evidence as People's Exhibit 4. Recognize this at all?
Yeah, it's my neighborhood.
Let me see if I can get this to you over here.
Sounds like this might be a neighbor.
She did, T.
to
Adams.
the family.
He did.
We're going to put it on the easel here, and I don't know if can you still see it?
Yeah.
And I don't need you to be precise, but can you just point out the general area of where you live, and you can see this in People's Exhibit 4? Here you go. I'm gonna give you this.
Nicole, let me insert myself. Mobley is right.
I'd be over here somewhere.
So for the record, you pointed to Mumford Drive in between Tarbell Drive?
Yeah, I'm on Decker, but
On
the
Decker.
school's right here, and my house would be like over in the section kind of by it.
Okay, great. How long have you lived there?
2 years? No, I'm sorry. That's way off. 3.5, almost 4 years.
So you were living there back in January of 2020?
Off to a good start.
And while you were living
Right,
in
Keith?
that neighborhood, did you have an occasion to meet someone named Letecia Stauch?
I did.
And tell the jury about how you met her.
So I think the first time I had posted a thing on our neighborhood page, I was looking for clothes for my niece that just moved in with us. And I had got a message from a Harley Hunt is who I thought I was speaking to.
I'm good.
And then they offering some free clothes for us. And when the person actually showed up to my house to drop off those clothes, it was Letecia.
Okay. You talked about a neighborhood. How did you describe it? Was it a Facebook page?
Yeah, we have a lot of neighborhood like Facebook pages that are just for people in the neighborhood. I don't know if I put it on the residence page or like one of the for sale pages, but it's just everybody in the neighborhood.
And I know you're a little nervous, but only one of us can talk at a time.
Mhm.
She's typing everything we're saying, believe it or not. And so
Slow the
if you could
fuck
just
down.
wait until I'm done and I'll wait till you're done.
Okay.
We'll do the best we can.
Okay.
Is that fair?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
You just did it again,
Um,
Mobley.
So someone named Harley Hunt responds to your page. Is that what happens?
Yes. I assumed it was Harley Hunt.
And did you then make arrangements for them to come
Look
by
at
your
Keisha.
house?
Yeah, to come drop
Writing
them off at
notes,
my house.
laughing.
Okay, so tell us about that. Did someone come by your house?
Yes, Letecia came by my house.
And what happened when she came to your house?
She knocked on the door. Initially, she was just supposed to leave him on the porch, but I ended up being at home. She knocked on the door. I opened it. She handed me the clothes and we had a conversation.
And do you see Letecia Stauch in the courtroom today?
I do, yes.
Could you point her out and describe what she's wearing?
She's sitting at the end of that desk in a pinkish purple shirt.
Only female seated at the defense table?
Yes.
May the record reflect identification of Ms. Stauch subject to cross-examination.
The record will still reflect. Go ahead.
So what happened when the defendant came to your residence?
She came to the door, handed me the clothes, and then we just had a conversation. It was a little weird.
She does, Lee.
I didn't know her. I had never met her before that. And I was kind of off put first because I thought I was meeting a Harley Hunt. And it obviously wasn't, but she didn't introduce herself as to who she was. And it was just kind of weird because I didn't know her and she was kind of just talking to me about life stuff. And
God.
like we had been best friends.
Okay.
So it was a little off-putting, but.
And do you remember about when this may have happened?
It was right before Christmas, probably December 20 something. It was before Christmas of 2019.
So it would have been December 2019?
Yeah.
Was it the Christmas before you later learned that Gannon went missing?
Yes.
Okay. And so
She is.
was there anything unusual about
It's
this
her moment to
initial
shine.
contact other than it seemed like she was spilling her guts to you?
No, not really.
Okay. Did you have more conversation with her?
I did.
Right, Chelsea?
She wrote me later on telling me she had forgot a pair of pants. That was just nothing. The next time was a couple days later on Christmas. She had sent me another message.
And what was that message about? Do you recall?
Yeah, she said that she was going on a work trip, that she worked for an airline and she needed to go to a training and had asked if my teenage niece wanted to go over and basically watch the house, but also hang out with her teenage daughter.
And so did you learn that she had a teenage daughter when you initially met her at your house in December of 2019?
I kind of put it together considering she wasn't Harley Hunt and that's who I was that was the name of the person I was messaging and she kept saying my daughter in those messages.
And did you have a teenage daughter?
My niece was a teenager.
Okay. And so did the conversation come up back in December 2019 that, hey, maybe your niece and my daughter could get together, that kind of thing?
Yeah, she said that her daughter Harley didn't really have any friends because she didn't go to school here. So she needed somebody to watch her house and help with the dogs. And that it would be maybe a good way for them to kind of hang out too.
Right. And did that ever happen?
I didn't feel comfortable with it because I didn't know her and I wasn't sending my niece to somebody else's house.
Oh, but
And
you
was your
didn't put
niece
yourself
living
in
with
the
you at that time?
investigation.
She was, yes.
All right. When was the next time you heard from Miss Stout?
The next time I heard from her, the next time I had any communication.
Well, either. Had you talked to her, let me just ask it this way. Had you talked to her prior to Gannon being reported missing?
No,
So it was just.
or not that I recall.
Sorry.
I don't think so.
Oh my God, you're
And
interrupting, Nicole.
so how did you learn that Gannon Stout, her stepson, went missing?
There was a post on one of those neighborhood pages saying that, I don't remember exactly what it said. It's been a long time. I just remember there was a post that went up saying that her son or
Sorry, but that poor court reporter is like, Jeez. You have to remember there is a court reporter. And so one, not only do you not want to interrupt one another because that makes it like near impossible, but two, you want to try to speak at a normal pace and clear and concise with that poor court reporter. It's like, fuck, it's smoking. Her fingers are smoking, man.
her stepson didn't return home from a friend's house and basically asking for help if anybody had seen him or could help find him.
And so prior to seeing that post, had you and the defendant talked about the defendant's family situation, who was living in their house, how many kids and that kind of thing?
I don't, not that I remember.
You only remember her talking about Harley, the teenage daughter?
I remember when she was at my house that first time, that weird conversation that we kind of had was talking about weird things, just like, I'm trying to remember exactly what it was.
Yeah, let's not answer until you know.
No, because that I do remember. So when she was asking if we would come and stay, or if my niece could come and stay at the house, she had mentioned her husband works nights and is in the Army and is gone a lot. She mentioned Harley because of hanging out with my niece. And then she mentioned, I think it was the little girl, talking about her going to Grand Mountain, but I think that's it. I don't remember hearing anything else.
And when you say talking about weird things, what do you mean?
I just mean, I didn't know her, but she kind of talked to me like I knew her and just being frustrated at home life. It was a very short conversation. It was just, I think to me, the reason it's weird is because if I don't know someone, I don't usually start talking about things like I know them and like I should know what they're talking about.
No.
So was it like, wait, too much information here?
Yeah, kind of. And I'm used to, in the neighborhood, we do porch drop-offs. So you don't usually have to communicate with the person. They drop it off and leave. I'm not a very sociable person when I'm in the comfort of my home. And it was just kind of, thanks, have a great night kind of thing. Not, I want to stand on the porch in the cold for 20 minutes.
Gotcha. So let's talk about when you see the post about Gannon being missing. What did you do next?
Told my husband, and he just knows how I am. So he was like, do you want to go? Do you want to go help look? So we did. We got dressed in warm clothes and we headed out and went to start looking.
Well, that's good.
And would this have been on the night of January 27th, 2020?
Yes.
And approximately what time was it that you went out looking? Do you remember?
I don't remember what time we started. I don't remember.
Was it nighttime out?
It was nighttime.
What was the weather like?
Freezing. I think it started snowing while we were out there because I remember being soaking wet and it was absolutely freezing out.
Was there any plans or any areas that people were looking? I mean, this post that you saw, did you have a game plan on where you were going to go look and things like that?
So there weren't really any plans like communicated with anybody. I think thinking of the age of the boy, it was, let's go look by the school. Let's go to any of the parks in the neighborhood. And then let's go look over by the house. And then we have these like ditches that are in the neighborhood that a lot of kids like to go down and play under. So it was just kind of staying in that general area. Okay, if my, kid was to go roaming off and hanging out with friends, where would they go? So we just kind of went based off of that.
And so you indicated that you thought it might be a good idea to go look at his house, Gannon's house. Would that have been 6627?
Yes.
And people's before there, we have a big label that says 6627 Mandan Drive. Is that the area we're talking about?
Yeah, there's a lot of like field where you can see there's not really any houses. Majority of what we did was in those fields.
And so were there other people out looking in the neighborhood?
There was a bunch.
No, you probably didn't count them, but approximately how many?
I'd say 40 at least. I mean, there were people out there with drones. There was a lot of people.
Flashlights?
Flashlights, vehicles, drones, people on feet. Excuse me. There were some people out there with dogs. I mean, it was like an unorganized / organized search is what it looked like.
That whole neighborhood activated.
And so best you know, was everyone reacting to this Facebook post about, it's okay,
Stop
about a child
interrupting.
being missing in the neighborhood?
Oh, yes, most definitely.
The neighborhood's kind of coming together?
Yes.
And did you talk to other people as you're searching and you're all searching for the same person?
Oh, yeah.
When you're in the area of 6627 Mandan Drive, did you stop by and see Miss Stauch, or was Miss Stauch out searching in that area, or do you remember?
I didn't stop by her house. I thought it was kind of weird because
Oh my
we're all
God.
out here looking, and it was very obvious that she was at her house and
Yes
not out
or
here
no?
looking.
Why was that obvious?
I'm trying to remember exactly how. I mean, there was a lot of people that were going up to her house, and she was opening the door, and you could just tell lights were on. I mean, plus I met a majority of everybody that was out there, and none of them were her.
And obviously you had met her before. And so did you tie it together that Gannon Stauch was living in the same house with Letecia Stauch?
Yeah, as soon as the post went up on the neighborhood page, I recognized her right away.
All right. Was she a picture of her on the post?
Not on the post, like her Facebook picture.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
And so as you're out that neighborhood, did you ever see any police
Holy.
cars coming to 6627 Mandan Drive?
I don't remember seeing any when I was there.
She does, Susan.
How long were you out there, do you think?
Hours. We were out until about 2, 3 a.m.
Oh, so you went in that into the early morning hours of the 28th.
Oh yeah. By the time we got home, we had mud all the way up our legs, our arms. We were covered.
And were people out there pretty consistently until the early morning hours looking, or?
It died down a lot, probably around midnight. I mean, it did get really cold. If I remember correctly, I think it started snowing. So some people I think did have to kind of start giving up. So at that time, like as long as we went, there was probably maybe a handful of us at that point.
And so into the 28th of January, 2020, did you continue to follow the progress of the case, the Facebook postings and things like that?
I did to an extent.
Tell us about that.
I tried not to read into, or I guess look too much into the drama stuff that was going on through it. I tried to focus on the facts of things that were going on, or posts that were made directly from the defendant.
A lot of drama and
a lot
speculation and things like that on social media.
Oh yeah.
Was the media reporting pretty heavily on Gannon's disappearance as well?
Yes.
Were you watching that?
Yes, those things I would.
Did you reach out to Ms. Stauch and offer to help or do anything in any way?
That was another thing that kind of set me off. The night that he went missing, I had sent her a message. I cannot remember what I said in it, but I remember it was something trying to get information like where we should be looking. And she blocked me immediately.
Mm-hmm.
What kind of message did you send her? Was it a text? Was it social media? Was it a phone message? How did you try to reach her?
Facebook Messenger.
And prior to that, had you been messaging on Facebook?
For the previous times that we spoke, it was Facebook, yes.
And did you ever talk to her about why she blocked you or anything like that?
Well, she blocked me, so I couldn't. I know my husband sent her a message.
Oh, so you went
saying,
out of your way.
I don't understand why you blocked my wife. We're just trying to help you. Is there something you have against her? Like what's going on? But we never got a response.
Look at Tisha.
She rolled her eyes.
Did you continue to progress or watch the progress in the investigation to see whether or not Gannon was found, that kind of thing?
I did. I also, any search party that they had, we had like blue ribbon ceremonies, different things that we did. I participated in everything.
Do you recall seeing the defendant, Ms. Stauch, being interviewed on KKTV during this time frame?
I do.
What do you recall from that interview?
Can you, as in, like, what do you mean? I don't know how I'm supposed to answer that one.
No, I answer it truthfully. I mean, did that spark anything and want you to be involved in the investigation based on what you saw her say during that interview?
The first thing that stood out to me, I think, with that interview is she didn't face the camera. And then there was a lot of, in my opinion, it sounded like her speaking in past tense when she would mention Gannon. But I also thought it was really weird that a majority of that news cast was her worrying about what people thought about her instead of worrying about where Gannon was.
And did that trigger your personality as to want to know more or find out more about what had happened to Gannon based on everything you're seeing, not only this interview, but the post on social media and things like that?
Most definitely.
Was there a point in time where you tried to reach out to Ms. Stauch again via some Facebook pages?
I did, yes.
And what kind of Facebook pages did you reach out to? Do you recall?
Do you mean which one of hers or what? What do you mean?
Well, was there a Facebook page called Support E or Ms. Stauch or something?
Yeah, there were several pages. I don't know if I communicated with her on any of her responses that were happening on those pages. I might have made comments to other people, but I don't remember if I communicated with her on those. I just know that I reached out to her on personal Facebook Messenger.
Is this the same Facebook page that you were blocked on previously or another Facebook page?
Another one.
Do you recall the name of that?
I think it might have been, it was either Letecia Stauch or T.
No.
Stauch.
Oh my God.
Did you get a response?
No,
She's
not
just looking at
initially.
the laptop with their lawyer.
When you say
on
not
Facebook.
initially, does that mean you eventually got a response?
See, even prosecution has to be very careful with this because they know that they have to slide into this in a way where Nicole Mobley isn't going to seem batshit out of her fucking mind. She's their witness, you know? And unfortunately, she is important because Letecia tried to get her to file a false police report. But they have to try to glide into her actions because they're batshit crazy actions.
Response?
Yes, I ended up creating a fake Facebook page. And
Talk about that. Why did you do that?
I wanted to see if I could get her to respond to me. And I knew she wouldn't on my original page.
And why did you want her to respond to you?
Nosy Nancy.
I felt like the conversation that we had on my front porch the first time that I met her, I kind of could figure out ways to get her to communicate with me based off of her, like the kind of things that she wanted to talk about. So I figured if I wrote her on a different page and could get her to start talking, if I worded things properly, I might be able to get her to start talking.
Unlike now?
So did that happen?
It did.
Tell the jury about that. What did you put in the Facebook page Messenger to get her to start talking to you?
I went on and kind of based it off, or started writing things based off of things that I had seen in the news or on social media, like things that she was saying. She had a lot of, I think, hate for Landon. And I think that I kind of started off with a combination of agreeing with her about things that involve Landon. And I also,
shit about Landon.
There was a video that came out about a truck in a shadow, and I also wrote her saying I believed her about the shadow under the truck.
And is this video the video of when Miss Stauch and Gannon come back on the afternoon of January 27th, 2020, and you see a leg drop on the other side of the truck?
Yes.
That's posted on the internet?
Yes.
Is that what you're talking about?
That's the video, yes.
The shadow is actually a leg coming down?
Yes.
And Miss Stauch was saying who did that leg belong to?
She told me it was Gannon.
Did you eventually continue communications with Miss Stauch via text?
Yeah, so I continued on Facebook Messenger, and then eventually we did make it onto a texting app.
Tell us about the texting app. Whose idea was it to use a texting app?
She had asked me to download a texting app on my phone so that we could talk more privately.
And was this on February 19th of 2020?
I'm pretty sure, yes.
Did you go to the police department fairly shortly after this string of text messages?
I don't remember how long it was, but I feel like it was pretty soon after that, yes.
If a report indicates that you went to the police department on Friday, February 21st, 2020.
Sounds right.
Would that be accurate?
Yes.
And when you went there, did you take your phone with you?
I did.
And did you provide your phone to law enforcement so they can take screenshots of this text messages that you're having?
I did. They took it for several weeks.
Yes
and
no.
Would you recognize those text messages if you saw them again?
Yes.
May I approach the witness, Your Honor?
You may.
This witness is doing her own detective work.
People's Exhibit 30 or 233. And within that exhibit, there's 33 pages. Do you see those?
I do, yes.
If you could take a moment and go through those 33 pages, and I'll ask you some follow-up questions.
33 pages.
There's been a witness.
Those mess about the first 31 pages.
Okay.
Are those messages that you exchanged with the defendant, Ms. Stauch, on February 19th, a Wednesday, from 9:59 in the morning to 11:48 in the morning?
Yes.
The second to last page, is that a text message that you exchanged with a Harley Hunt?
Yes.
And is that your text message as well, the one to Harley Hunt?
It is.
The last page, page 33, is that a text message that you sent to your husband?
It is.
Is the message that you wrote to your husband accurate? Is that what you said after this text screen that you had with the defendant?
Yes.
Okay. Are now back to the original 33 pages. I think I've already asked you that. Is that a true and accurate depiction of the conversation you had with Ms. Stauch back on February 19th, 2020?
Yes, sir.
Move to admit People's Exhibit 233.
Defense,
Objection.
Exhibit 233 will be admitted. Go ahead.
Request to publish.
You may, go ahead.
Now we get a text exchange back and forth.
Homer. You remember that? I forgot until you.
Either look at the TV screens or actually look at the notebook, whatever you're more comfortable doing.
Okay.
We're on to page 1 here.
Homer. Oh my gosh.
Before we talk about page 1, what was your motivation here? Why were you trying to get her to talk?
Sometimes I get this impression of myself that I can get people to tell me things that other people can't. So I just wanted to give it a shot.
Yeah, I'm sure.
When you're
She's got
talking to
skills.
the defendant here, had Gannon been found yet?
No.
Were you trying to find Gannon?
Yes.
I hope that
Were you
went
trying to get
okay.
information from her so that Gannon can be found?
Yes.
The top of the text says Barbie girl. You know who Barbie girl is?
It was Letecia.
And did you know?
Look at Letecia. Who? New phone. Who does?
Through the Facebook messaging before you started this text app?
I didn't know that she didn't tell me the name, but it was the phone number.
And it says Wednesday at 9:59. Is that approximately when this all started?
Yes.
And that would have been February 19th?
Yes.
Lisa.
So when it says to verify it's you, what was your real first name, LOL? Is that Ms. Stauch talking?
Yes, sir.
And prior to getting this string of messages, were you certain that that was Ms. Stauch who you were talking to?
Yes, sir. We did a thing on previous messages where I had asked her something. I don't remember what it was, but to validate it was her, that only she would know, and she did that.
And is she now validating who
Hey,
you
Bendy.
are?
Yes, sir.
I.e.
dudes,
Nicole
one
is
cup.
what you respond?
Yes.
So we can scroll down a little bit. And again, everything that you say is going to be in green, right?
Yes.
She's saying, yep. Go ahead. And what does she say?
That she was realizing who I was, verifying that that's.
She say, okay, so listen, I didn't hurt my son or kill him or anything. I want you to know that. I also want to know that I can trust you on here.
Yes.
How did you take that?
I guess kind of in a couple ways. That obviously she knows something.
Yeah.
But that I needed to work really hard to gain her trust, and maybe I could get her to tell me something. I don't know.
And so how did you respond? Go ahead and read that.
100%. If you look up both my real profile and my fake on any of the Gannon pages, you will see I've been pointing out the shadow and I have not bashed you.
So is that what we're talking about? The leg drop that we see January 27th when they get home?
Yes, sir.
And why did you tell her this?
So there was a lot of drama and things that were going on. People trying to zoom, like on social media, zooming in and trying to determine if there was a shadow or a leg. Because there was a lot of well, we didn't see him come home. So she, I think at one point was involved in some of that communication, trying to push that. So I knew if I reached out and said, I believe you, this is what I saw, that she would start to trust me.
Yeah.
And so, just so we're clear, there's a video that was posted on the internet that sees the defendant and Gannon get in a truck and leave about 10, 13, and 7.
Yes, sir.
And then there's also a video that comes back. The truck backs up into the driveway. You can't see the other side of the truck. All right?
Correct.
You see Ms. Stout get out of the driver's side.
Yes.
And then that's when you see this leg drop on the other side. And there were people saying Gannon never came home with her, so she must have did something.
Yeah, there was a lot of videos, people circling it and saying that's not a shadow or that's not a leg, trying to say that some people thought he came home and some people didn't. So it was a lot of back and forth on that.
So that's what's going on in social media. And so that's how did you want to gain her trust by saying, hey, I'm with you on this, that type of thing?
Yeah, she wanted to make sure she could trust me. And the only thing I could think of is if I went along with the lines of certain things that were going on in the moment and I was on her side for that part, that I would gain that trust.
Okay. And so she responds, thank you. I do need some help though, and I could help you in return. Before you think, this isn't anything bad or anything like that. You recall that?
I do.
What did you think that was all about?
I didn't really know where she was going with it. Let me think on that. I'm sorry.
Let me think on that.
Well, we can scroll down and see what your response is.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do that. Shit. Mobley.
So now we're on page 2 of that exhibit. So your response is, just to show you what I've said to my own family in the past about all this. Can't make out. Looks like you attached something to the text.
Yeah, I think I attached something that I'm like a message I might have sent to somebody else.
Your family.
Talking about it. I don't remember, but I'm pretty sure it was just like, look, I'm showing you. I even told somebody in my family I believed you.
Is that again to gain her trust?
Yes.
So how does she respond after you do that? Second here until we get to the right.
Did you want me to read it?
Yes.
Okay. If I had did this, I couldn't have gone but so far and they would have found him, but they are focusing on me wasting valuable time.
Says thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, finish it. Please, sir.
And then what do you say?
Okay, what do you need help with? I definitely don't think you would ask me to do anything bad, so it's okay.
Yeah. Well, that ended great.
And what does she say?
Oh, sorry.
No, it's okay.
So I want you to tell the truth.
And you respond, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Go to page 3.
Oh, God, Mobley, come on.
And some of these are kind of repetitive just because of the way they did the screenshots. So bear with me. So you say, okay. And then what does she say?
Someone was in the home when we got back. I gave this to police at my initial interview, but I thought he was being defiant and just going against his dad's wishes, leaving. I blacked out.
What do you take from that?
Well, I didn't believe it. But I don't know. I didn't believe what she was saying. I was kind of just waiting for a story to come.
Is this the first you had heard about someone else being in the house?
It is. As far as I remember, yes.
First you heard of her blacking out?
Yes.
Look at Tisha.
Up until February 19th, 2020, did you just think Gannon was missing, or what was your thoughts about what had happened to Gannon?
I had hoped he was just missing, but from the very first night, I just had a bad feeling.
Did you? Yeah,
can
you're the
scroll
rest
down,
of the
please.
world.
Thanks, Jennifer.
Oh, so you respond, so blacked out before he left, because I'm a mom and I know how that is. It says I've done it and reacted. You mean to say reacted?
Yes.
With my kids and situations. I just did it when my house flooded. What do you mean by that?
So I think in my head, I was thinking maybe a situation happened and she overreacted and something might have happened. So I wanted to kind of play on that and say, look, I'm a mom. I've overreacted in situations. My house had just flooded. So I could have overreacted in that situation. So I was just kind of, I think, trying to play along with it.
You didn't know what was going to come next, I take it?
I had no idea.
And so what does she say next?
I am beginning to think that the guy was still in the home when police came. Either way, he popped back up with Gannon. So I'm assuming they were in the storage room. He threatened me and I put them girls upstairs to protect them.
She says B.
Yeah.
And you asked her who was the guy?
Yes.
How'd she respond?
You want me to read it?
Yeah.
Okay. He took a suitcase and some of our things and Gannon's things, and I was crying. Then he hit me across the head.
So is this the first you heard of a suitcase?
Very first time, yeah.
And how did you respond to that? And why did you respond the way you did?
This is why the cops are being the way they are. They knew you didn't do it, and that's why they are being so quiet. I knew you were innocent. So I responded in that way because, once again, I'm trying to keep her thinking that I'm on her side so that she'll continue telling me more.
Okay, Nicole.
So how does she respond to you saying that?
Someone had to see him leaving with a suitcase and G. I don't know if she, I assume was he, was hurt when he did. I was scared. Someone has to be a witness to having seen this guy. Someone had to and is scared.
So as you're out there, night of the 27th, searching the fields and the ditches and the whole neighborhood around their residence, anybody carrying a suitcase walking around?
Not at all. I would have questioned that.
Would anybody stop that person, strange man in the neighborhood?
In a heartbeat. Our neighborhood has cameras everywhere, and you can't be a guy selling solar panels walking up to somebody's door without somebody posting, who's this weirdo at my door.
We can zoom in on the next page, please.
I really wonder what Letecia's whispering to her lawyer. And I'm wondering if it's another story, another lie.
So she said someone has to be a witness to having seen this guy. Someone had to and is scared. And you said, can I ask you this?
I think Allergic probably was writing Tisha, and it may have autocorrected to Tiffany when she said it looks like the adult version of The Incredibles' daughter. Where Are They Now edition? It was probably just miscommunication, a typo, or it autocorrected.
You think Landon sent this guy?
Yes.
How does she respond?
I will do anything to find that person, but I don't know how. She could have, and then things may have went wrong.
Now, had you gotten to know Landon and Al and Lena and the rest of the family from efforts that were going on in the neighborhood to try to find Gannon?
Tisha, yeah.
I remember, I think I met a few of them maybe once for a very small amount of time. I think there was an aunt and Lena at one of the events that I got to play with Lena and do a few things with, but I didn't get to know them, no.
Was there a church in the neighborhood that was heavily involved in the search effort, and people would meet at the church and discuss things and trying to find Gannon?
Yeah, we would do it at the church, but we also had a point when right off of Mandan, there's that field, and we actually set up tables with food and snacks and waters, and everybody would gather there and do search parties. And I think that's where I did most of my communication, the one time that I think I spoke with a couple of them.
So why did you ask her if she thought Landon was involved in this?
It was made very clear, and I don't remember how, if it was social media or what it was, but that she didn't like Landon. So I think I was trying to play off of, okay, well, she doesn't like her. So if I start talking about Landon, it pulls her in more because I'm kind of siding with her.
Okay. We can scroll down, please.
We need to get her on the show.
And you say, I've been thinking she sent someone to get both kids.
Yes.
Same thing?
Same thing.
You're trying to draw more information out of her?
Yeah. And that's what I had met in the previous, or when she had said things may have went wrong in the previous one, I'm sitting here thinking, okay, if I play off of, okay, maybe Landon sent somebody down here and it didn't go right. They were.
I know, Michelle, but what I'm saying is if she didn't mean to write Tiffany and it autocorrected, she was probably just as confused as you, because in her mind she wrote Tisha, right? And it autocorrected to Tiffany. You're good, Emily. It's good to see you.
We're only able to get the one kid and, you know what I mean, kind of played it off.
I agree, Kate.
And then she responds to that, says, but Lena was gone, so he couldn't.
Yes.
And did you know who Lena was?
At this point, yeah, I did.
Was that Gannon's 8-year-old little sister?
Yes.
And you asked her, how did this, how did he get into the house? Did he force his way or did he act like he was there for a reason? Do you recall asking her that?
I do, yes.
Trying to get more information?
Yes.
And how did she respond to that? Can you read that for us?
When we went in through the garage, I went into the bathroom. So either already in there or came gate. Maybe G had seen him before. That's why he kept checking the gate to make sure it was locked.
Okay.
We're going to see more and more.
And then how did you, what's
mark my words, we're going to see more and more Nicole Mobleys in these court cases moving forward. With how many people you see inserting themselves in these cases and social media, we're going to see a lot more Mobleys, unfortunately.
the next thing you asked?
Do you think the detectives believe you but have to act the way they are so this guy doesn't know they are onto him?
Where'd that come from?
Again, just I think I had heard things of her talking about, I did actually, I think some of it might have even been in the news. She was really against those detectives. So I wanted to play off of, well, maybe the detectives are just doing this as a ploy. They're going to try and make it seem like you so that nobody's focusing on this other person.
Doesn't make any sense though, does it? Does that make any sense to you as to why the police would do that?
No, not at all.
So are you just basing on things that she posted on Facebook about the incompetence of the El Paso County Sheriff's Office or something like that?
I'm playing off of anything that has either been said by her on Facebook or the thing on the news.
Okay. And how does she respond to that?
Not sure. I think they don't have anything on Ring cameras. Someone had to see him leave. I need a witness. Any amount. Do whatever for them if they come forward. They need to start looking for the guy and posting it on our state's. It's just on our states. I don't know.
Okay.
Any amount. I need a witness.
And then how did you respond to that?
Oh my God, I'm telling you, I think Landon did this to try to get her kids back, and it went wrong. So now she is using this to get money for her nasty habits. Poor Gannon, I really hope he isn't being tortured.
Where are you getting this information from?
Posts. There were things that were going around about Landon potentially having a certain kind of background. Why was Gannon and Lena in, out their custody anyways? So I kind of just played off of that because again, I knew that she didn't like Landon.
Were these posts that were in this support T Stauch website or Facebook page?
I'm pretty sure
supporting her.
I'm pretty sure it was. Yeah.
And how did she respond to that? Can we scroll down, please?
And get off me. He would have been found close by if it was the killer. I couldn't have went far. I think something went wrong now. It's been too long. She would have had him come back and then tried to say we were bad parents by now.
Now, what did you think she meant? Can we please leave that up? What did you think she meant when she said he may be close by if I was the killer?
Object to she can.
Yeah,
That's a speculation.
It goes to her response to this. Right?
Well, no, she can't testify as to what somebody else was thinking. She can testify as to what somebody else said and why she undertook a certain course of action, but she can't testify to what somebody else was thinking.
What was going through your mind when you heard her say, if I would have killed him, he would have been close by?
Just I'm trying to think of how to answer that the right way without going against it.
Careful
Was
line
this the
here.
first time you ever heard her say anything about if I was the killer?
Yes, 100%. I'd never heard anything about him being killed prior to this.
Can we scroll down now, please, to see what your response is? So you respond, did Gannon seem like he knew him? Or was he acting scared when he was talking?
Taking him.
Taking him, I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Is that how you responded?
Yes.
Now, above that, she says, I think something went wrong now. It's been too long. She would have had him come back and tried to say we were bad parents by now. Now, I think he may be out of state. All that?
I do, yes.
Is this the first time you ever heard her say anything about Gannon being out of state?
Yes.
Always little.
And did you
lies.
later learn that Gannon's body was found in the state of Florida?
I did.
Go to the next page.
I agree, cups of love.
So she responded to when you asked if Gannon knew him, he didn't act like he knew him. Do you recall that?
I do, yes.
And what else did she say?
The guy did say friends with Uncle Matt, but I don't know if that is
Yep,
real.
right
He doesn't have an uncle named that on our side.
And how did you respond to that?
Oh my God, see, this is what I was thinking. And I told my husband, I think bio mom did this. Does
Wow.
Landon have anyone she knows named Matt that she says is like a brother?
And again, why are you saying this?
Again, just to continue going along the lines of what I think she wants to hear.
And how did she respond to that?
I need a witness that the guy left. I will do anything. I'm not asking you. I'm asking if you know anyone who will. I will give them my life, a reward, whatever. Anything to get them to expand the search.
Wow.
And how did you respond to that?
Did he ask where the little girl was, or what did he say to you?
I will pay for a fake witness.
So she says, he said, is that your daughter at the door? You recall that?
I do, yes.
And then says, but I sent her to the mailbox.
Yes.
Do you know who she's referring to when she says daughter?
Yes. Lena. Lena.
I'm losing my mind because they need to look for the description of the guy. They need to expand and put up alerts in states. My heart is breaking.
I know, honey.
Yes.
What was going through your mind at this time as far as how you're going to respond to get more information?
I think this time it might have taken me a little bit to kind of think about it. I guess I had kind of got thrown off because earlier she had said, when I had made when I had said something about maybe Landon had something to do with this and intended to come get both kids, the defendant's response was, but couldn't because Lena wasn't home. But then all of a sudden it's, well, Lena, is that your daughter at the door? So I was just kind of trying to think of things to try and play off kind of what she was saying. But I definitely was really at this point like, okay, something's not right here.
Okay, yeah, Mobley, sure.
We can scroll down, please. So go ahead and read what you say there in green at 30 now on page 13.
Okay, let me think on this. On a way to help. I've been on the news and I know I can't just all of a sudden say that, but I will help figure this out or something. Who
I've
can
been
help?
on the
Just give me a
news.
little time to think. I will help. Anything to get him found. I'm so sorry to go through that and then be accused. I can't imagine how you feel. I'm here for you.
And then she responds, you were on the news?
Yes,
Were you on the news?
I was, yes.
Were you on the
Sure
news?
she
I don't know what
was.
you're saying.
I was one of the searches I think that we had at the school. We did a search and maybe it wasn't a search. I think it was like a ribbon thing. We did a bunch of blue ribbons that we put all over the school. And the news had asked me to go up and speak about searching, like locations and things.
Were the blue ribbons, what were those all about? Why were there blue ribbons?
We turned the whole neighborhood blue for Gannon.
Is that his favorite color?
I think it was his favorite color, but he also loves Sonic.
We can scroll down, please.
I have no snarky comments to that.
And she says,
Beautiful.
and whatever they need, they're going to have to pay me for defamation, civil rights violations, etc.
Keisha.
But for now, I need him home. I need my boy home.
Yes.
How did you respond to that? Let's go to the next page, please.
Yes, my husband and I went out the first night till, I think it says 2 a.m.
Yeah,
And-
go ahead now.
Then I went out every day for a week looking.
Now, when you say that, how does she respond?
That's when the guy left. He took a suitcase of things and made Gannon wrapped in his cover. He hit me in the head, and then I don't know if they got in a car or what. When I got back up, I was in complete shock and crying. And when I told the police they think I'm crazy, that someone could have been there when they arrived. In my questioning, they will like no way. In my questioning, we like no way the police didn't know he was there. I mean, heck, I didn't know.
So was she trying to tell you that Gannon and this man were in the house while the police were in the house?
Yes.
How'd you respond to that?
As in the message?
Yes.
Okay. So they never even tried to look into any of what you said. WTF is wrong with law enforcement. They could have found him, but to me, they didn't even try.
You're not saying welcome to Fruta when you say WTF, I take it?
No.
Just wanted to clarify.
That's what I usually mean by it.
I also didn't know if I could say the other word, so.
All right. WTF is fine. If we can go to the next page, please.
Fruta, I believe, is a city in Colorado.
So she responds to that by saying that's when the guy left. He took a suitcase of things and made Gannon wrapped in a cover. Yeah, we need to go.
I thought those pages look the same.
One more duplicate because we didn't catch all the
Yes.
screenshots. So in response to your WTF comment, she says, nope. They were it was someone you were cheating with, dumb stuff. I'm telling you, when this is said and done, I will have a heck of a lawsuit from them. Do you recall her saying that?
I do, yes.
What does she continue on to say?
I've already been asked by some attorneys if my innocence prevails, then to be the first to see them. I even took a lie detector test. I wouldn't ask if I didn't need the help. I am trusting that you don't say anything about our convo. I am innocent. He is my son.
What did you think about when she says, I hope that you wouldn't say anything about our conversation or comment?
I'm sorry, say that one more time.
Well, what was going through your mind when she says, I am trusting that you don't say anything about our convo?
That she's probably getting ready to open up and say more.
No. Oh my God.
Did you get the impression that she was going to be asking you to do something at this point?
I did, yes.
What was that?
Lie for her.
Go to the next page. So you respond. How?
I did meet a guy that night that freaked me out so bad I had to leave with strangers to get away from him. I wish I knew how to show you what he looked like, but I don't have pictures.
Tell us about that. Did you meet some guy out there while you're searching?
I did.
What was that all about? Tell the jury.
All that was about is I was out there with my husband, but my husband ended up in a different area than I was. And some guy came up that I think he was using a drone, started hitting on me. And I felt really uncomfortable. So luckily a truck with some ladies in it that were out searching showed up and they let me get in the truck with them and they took me to another part to get away from him.
This guy had a big green suitcase that he was rolling around.
He did not. Or a little boy next to him.
Is this what you're talking about? Are you trying to lure her in by giving her some truth?
So I kind of had a feeling what she was getting ready to ask me.
Just say
or
yes.
Get more in detail of asking me. So I was trying to give her kind of that. Oh, well, I did see somebody that made me uncomfortable.
Okay. So what Nicole is doing is she is constantly overcompensating because she knows her behavior is bizarre. And so she has this this need to overcompensate and over-explain why she said certain things or did certain things. You really just need a yes or no. Thanks, Debbie Doodles. That's so awesome. Congratulations. If you just got a membership, please thank Debbie Doodles if you're lucky enough to get one. That's so, so awesome. Thank you so much.
So she says it may have been him, but he left with a suitcase and G was walking and took his cover.
It is Lee the Bee.
Did you ever ask her, what are you talking about? What is G leaving with a man and taking a cover?
I don't remember if I asked. I know that. I think I just played into everything. I don't think I asked anything specific at very many points.
Do you know who she was referring to when she said G?
Yes.
Is that Dan?
Yes.
Scroll down, please. How do you respond to that?
I will never repeat this conversation. I promise you. I believe you. Sorry.
Oh, Mobley.
Can I have a minute?
You all right? Yeah.
Yeah, why
There's some, let me get you some tissues.
Oh, there's some.
Oh, she went down 8 octaves. Sorry, not trying to be mean, but what happened?
Could you read it?
Sure. Did you say this was hours later and I told my husband this guy that creeped me out? What if he had something to do with it? Then hours later came out to help search, just to be close to the house to see what was happening. And I told him this that night before I knew any of this.
Yes.
You recall saying that?
I do, yes.
You actually think that?
Maybe you didn't want to see. So I'm sorry. I'm just interested. That's what hit your heartstrings out of everything. You speculating that an innocent man that you bumped into searching for Gannon could have been the one who took him. I'm sorry. I don't feel sympathy for this lady. It seems to me that you just didn't want to read that message because it looks really shitty on you.
Why'd you tell her this?
Again, just to keep her going.
I know. Sure.
Yeah, I'm okay.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm okay.
We can go down to the next one, please.
Look at Tisha.
Now, did she actually send you
Kelly.
a picture during this conversation?
Yes.
And what is that picture of? Do you recall?
Gannon's bed and his blanket.
All right, well, then that would make more sense.
Is that why you're getting emotional? Because you saw this picture coming up?
Yes.
And
Okay.
I apologize for that.
It's
And
okay.
I'll give her that.
What did she talk to you about when she sent you this picture?
She said, this is the cover he left with. This is online now because it showed G back at the house with me timestamped. What if you just said you remembered something suspicious after seeing this picture and explained the description and you didn't think was relevant until now because the kid had the same cover?
Let it sink in what Letecia, and I know we've gone through the case files and we saw this all already. But Letecia sends her, and there it's the photo of Gannon sleeping Monday morning prior to the murder. But you guys saw the photo. There's two. He does not look good. But Letecia sends her this photo and literally says, "Why don't you act when like you saw this photo and then something popped up in your memory?"
Think was relevant until now because the kid had the same cover. I swear to you, I didn't do this. I just need help with someone getting this out there so they can start posting in other states.
Do you know how Gannon was found?
I do, yes.
Know that he was found in a suitcase?
I do, yes.
How did you respond to this?
That's a possibility. Do you remember around what time it was?
And what did she say?
After police left, so it was last night, maybe one or so. I didn't know he was still there until police had left. And on some people were out searching, he could have blended right in.
We can scroll down, please. Did she also go on to say, especially if cars were around in the area, they had to get in a car at some point?
Yes.
Did you see anybody, kids getting in a car while you're out searching?
Not kids in this aspect, no.
Like when you're out searching?
Yes.
Is that all over the post?
Yes.
Pictures of Gannon?
I think that I also clicked on her Facebook and looked them up too.
So you respond, yeah, there was a lot of cars and people everywhere.
Yes.
Is that true?
Yes. Well, not a lot of cars. There was a few cars, a lot of people though.
And then what did she say next at 11:11 a.m. on the 19th?
I wouldn't ask this if I didn't want to find our son. I'm cornered because of no ring activity.
Did you know what she meant by that?
Yes.
And what did that mean to you when she says that?
Just there was no footage of him leaving or any man walking out with a suitcase and a blanket and a little boy.
So no footage of that on the internet posted on Facebook pages?
No, and none on anybody's rings.
We can scroll down, please. Looks like you asked a couple questions here. Could you go ahead and read that for the jury?
Yes. So this was before the cops searched the house. So he was making Gannon hide with him and be quiet. That's not only scary, but also really sick. Do you remember? I think it's supposed to say what he looks like. Tall, short, skinny, fat. So I can think of a way to say it when they ask details.
Why are you saying that?
To play along. Keep her going.
Do you want her to think that you're going to come up with this story and tell the police about what she's asking you to say?
I wanted her to believe this, yes.
What did you say next?
So I was in the field by your house from about 12 to 2 and could see your house most of the time. So now I need to think really hard about this because I saw a lot of people out and now I'm wondering if I could have seen anything. It was freezing cold and we were exhausted, but there were so many people out there.
How did she respond to that?
Yes, he's Hispanic, shorter, 5'7" or 5'8", about 175 pounds. He has like either a tattoo or something on his face, maybe teardrop or something like that, but a marking. He had on a jacket. I don't remember the color, but Gannon left with him in that cover. So that stuck out to you when you seen it online. Just recently. Yes, he stayed in the house while they were there, but I didn't know until later. But he took suitcase with them. Beware, I saw him laid it up before he hit me in the head because I'm sure he loaded the suitcase in the car and put Gannon in somehow.
Then how did you respond to that?
I wish I could remember that night better. Like a car in front of your house or close, because I parked on your street a few houses down to get out and search the field.
And then when she says, at this point, I just need the main info out there. Again, I only ask because it's our child. They're looking in all the wrong places. Driving me crazy. Call her saying that?
I do, yes.
Is she leading up to something? I know we're going to get to this question she's going to ask you down the road, but at the time that you see this text come across, are you anticipating her asking you to do something?
Yes.
Go to the next page, please. She says, most people want to always help, but I know this is tricky. I mean, if it's money or whatever, name it. I want them searching the right way.
Yes.
What'd you take from that?
That she's getting ready to ask me to do something and offer money for it.
And how did you respond to that?
I want to help, anything to find Gannon. My daughter knows him and this is destroying her. And I feel broken now that I've been searching and doing what I can. And I met Lena and that made me break down. So I am about to meet with my dad to help him put together a chair. He just got a new house. He is nosy when I'm on my way on my phone, so I only want to message when he isn't next to me. So if I'm slow to reply, that's why. I don't want anyone knowing I'm talking to you because then people get nosy. And like I said, anything we talk about is between us.
Okay. And you go on to say, I'm not even telling my husband, right?
Correct, yes.
And you can scroll down, please. He says, okay, I think that's best. You think you could do it? Let me know what you need. Gannon is who I want home. And they can turn their searches the right way. Then they could call me back in and take me seriously.
Yes.
And how did you respond to that at 11:39?
I'm going to see if my first post is still up from that night, because that will prove that I was right by your house at that exact time and will help. And no, you don't need to give me anything. I just want to help get him home.
Why did you say that?
Just to keep her going. And I don't recall at this point, I might have already been in touch with law enforcement.
What do you mean by that?
I reached out. I think there was a number that we could call if we had any information, but I had reached out and they ended up having me sit down with a guy from the FBI. I think it happened around this time I don't remember though. But yeah, I met with the FBI and they kind of gave me some things to go along with as well.
Do that during this conversation, or did you make a call and keep the conversation going?
I think I made a call and then kept the conversation going.
Because what do you say at 11:39 and then she responds at 11:40?
Okay, I could help with that to say, or with what to say. And yes, I will. You guys need some help too. I'm desperate to find G.
Well, it sounds like that you guys are having pretty constant conversation based on the timestamps on here, at least within a minute of each other.
Yes.
Was that accurate?
Yes.
And she says, I'm desperate to find G. And then how did you respond to that?
You passed the polygraph, so why don't they start listening to you? I don't get it. They are dumb, and I know you passed it because they posted that you did.
Probably know what I'm going to ask now. How did you know that she took a polygraph and passed it if she did in fact do that?
Well, she had told me she was taking a polygraph, but it was posted online.
And again, with these on these pages that were support the defendant type pages?
Yes.
We can scroll down, please. And how did she respond to your polygraph question?
Well, I wanted this, and then when they call me back in, I will take that. And they will listen. I will take a witness. I will take a witness too. So they say, let's call me back in. And then I think they will refocus on search and search differently. And then I will take results then. The police can keep you anonymous to the public.
Now, on February 19th, were you familiar where law enforcement were searching for Gannon's body?
I think so, yes.
Where was that?
I think it was like Palmer Lake or somewhere.
So did you know that as she's talking about them searching in the right place? Was the media running stories that they're searching for Gannon in the Palmer Lake area?
Yes, if I recall correctly, I think this is when they were searching the Palmer Lake area and they had put like wall barrier type things up so people couldn't see that. So there was a lot of people posting speculation and it was all over the media.
If we can scroll down, please. You say looking for my first post now, and then how does she respond?
Okay, even if you could just call Albert and tell him first, he would keep you anonymous, except to the police. Besides, it's for Gannon. I can't stop at anything to get them to refocus and find who that was.
Yeah, stuff.
What were you thinking she's asking you to do when she says, call Albert?
She wanted me, in my opinion, she wanted me to call him and tell him that I
Object to speculation again.
Yeah, sustained.
What were you thinking?
Sorry.
Okay? I don't want to talk about what you thought she was thinking.
Yeah.
But what were you thinking when she says, I want you to call Albert?
I was thinking I was supposed to call Albert and tell him that I saw a man leaving the house with a suitcase and Gannon in a blanket and give a description of a man.
Okay. And do you know Albert Stauch to be the same person who's seated right over here?
I do, yes.
Front row?
Yes.
Had you met him during this process at, again, these events for Gannon?
I think I met him once, but I definitely saw him a lot. Yeah.
He was on the news as well?
Yes.
If we can go scroll down, please. So you say found it, and what are you referring to when you say found it?
I found the first post I had made.
Scroll down, please. And was that the end of your conversation with Ms. Stauch on February 19th, 2020?
That was the end of getting communication back. I had sent one more message on a different page at one point, but yes, that was it.
And she didn't respond to that?
No, she did not.
And then what do we see here on the second to last page of that exhibit, page 34? Is this a different phone or a different app that you're using to communicate with someone named Harley Hunt?
No, it's Facebook, but now I'm using my, it's Facebook Messenger, but I'm now using my account as well.
So why did you reach out to Harley Hunt?
Let me read it.
I just don't like people who insert themselves like this.
We can give this some context. Do you remember when you reached out to Harley Hunt based on what you said there?
I think this is actually the night on the 27th. This was the message that I sent. I got that response and that's when I got blocked.
So you're reaching out to Harley Hunt. Why?
Trying to figure out where we should be searching.
You also reach out to Ms. Stauch about the same time.
I did. Well, I wasn't sure what account she was using because she had contacted me previously on the Harley Hunt account.
Okay.
So I initially did that, but then yes, I also tried her account as well.
And then the last page, if we can go to the last page of People's Exhibit 233. This is a text message with you and your husband. And I really want to just talk about, why did you tell your husband she wants me to lie and say I saw Gannon leave in a car with a man?
Because that's what she wanted me to do.
And is that when you went to the sheriff's office and had an interview with detectives about what we just went through?
Yes.
And you turned your phone over and let them have everything on your phone?
Yes.
No more questions, Your Honor. Thanks.
Okay.
Cross-examination, Mr. Cook.
Cross exam. Come on, baby.
I approach and receive, retrieve the exhibit.
First?
Yes.
Yes.
This is the only Mobley on the prosecution witness list, so it doesn't look like the husband is called to testify. Big Tiger, that's an answer to your question.
So it looks like, Miss. By the way, good afternoon. I'm Will Cook, and I represent Miss Stauch. It looks like all the information and the text messages we went over, except for the last two, it all took place on a Wednesday from 10 a.m. in the morning to about 11:48.
Sounds about right, yes.
Okay. So all this happened in a span of less than 2 hours, this back and forth.
I think so, yes.
Okay. And did you know her, not by Letecia, but you knew her by T-E-E?
I mean, I don't know that I necessarily knew her by anything at that point.
Okay.
Okay. Right.
And can I approach the witness again?
You may.
So, Ms. Mobley, it looks like all of the information, the text between you and Ms. Stauch you talked about, it looks like it has a specific person, Barbie girl, a green background. And then the last text you show between you and your husband, it's listed as my love. It's got the green background. One with Harley Hunt. It doesn't have that listed up there. Was this was in fact a Facebook community post that you put out?
I think
And Harley Hunt just happened to respond to the Bain community post, correct?
you might be right. I can't, that might just be a post, yes.
Okay.
I know this is definitely 100% Facebook.
Okay. But you see here when your post where you're talking about it was just out walking the house for 2 hours. 3 weeks ago, it says like or reply. Then it has Harley Hunt 3 weeks ago saying thank you so much, like or reply.
Yes.
That's a community post you were making, correct?
Yeah,
And
probably.
You
Yeah.
responded to a community post, correct?
Yes.
This wasn't just a text message just between you and Harley.
Yes. So you are correct. I was wrong on that earlier.
Okay,
Yes.
that's fine. I think that's all I have, Your Honor.
Redirect.
Wow,
thanks, Sharon.
not much for redirect at
Okay.
all.
Do any of the jurors have any questions for Ms. Mobley?
Yes, I do.
Oh, all right. Thank you, ma'am. You may step down.
Thank you.
Just watch your step.
Wow.
See if we can.
And look at her laughing.
Counsel approach, please.
And that was Nicole fucking Mobley. We did it, guys. Oh man, and that's the conclusion to day 4. And so we'll be starting day 5 next. Yeah, I mean, listen, anybody who is out, boots on the ground, helping to search for a missing child, kudos. Okay, I have nothing bad to say about that. But with that being said, I know that I may come off harsh, but everything I have witnessed and experienced as a creator and subscriber on this platform, and seeing how much people insert themselves in these cases, I don't feel sympathy in a lot of ways. I do not think Nicole Mobley had any right to get up there as a victim impact statement. She was the first victim that stood up to make the statement. We'll see that at the end of the trial, but she very much inserted herself. And I don't think it was solely with good intentions. And when I say that, I think you're Snoopy McGee. Now, with that being said, did it end up leading somewhere horrific that she probably truly did not ever believe it would lead to? Yes, I believe that. And so did it go from being Snoopy, and it was all over the Facebook groups. It was very popular. And was it a unique case? Yes, Letecia was up there. You're talking, you get caught up. I get it. I don't like how far it went. I don't like that you're sitting there claiming that you believe Landon had involvement. Even if you were just amping her up, I don't like it. I don't like it. And literally devising a plan to fake a police report. I get that ultimately you went and you spoke up, but did you speak up for the right reasons, or did you speak up because you got nervous? She blocked you. You went around, you had her husband reach out. He blocked you. You create a fake account. You went far out of your way to insert yourself, okay? I think we're going to see more and more Nicole Mobleys moving forward. I think, yeah, maybe she's scared herself. Now, at the end of it, maybe she learned a lesson. And yes, I'm not saying her emotions aren't real. I jumped the gun. I thought she was acting upset about that message, but I couldn't see that. It was the photo of Gannon in the bed. It probably is real emotion. I get that. But both can be true at the same time. I could not have sympathy and think that what she did was really shitty. And it could be true emotion in the long run at the end of it all. Both can be true at the same time. It doesn't have to be either or. But I think she's batshit crazy. I think she's batshit crazy. And I think it's a testament to what's happening currently in these true crime cases. And it's like, back the fuck off. Don't insert yourself to that level. Just don't do it. But either way, thank you all so much for being here. Another amazing members only Monday. Thank you, anybody who is an actual active member. Thank you for anybody who had gifted a membership and you are green either way. Thank you for anybody who can't afford a membership and you're sitting behind the paywall and still just watching. I appreciate everyone. We don't discriminate here. Gray, green, blue. I appreciate you all. So thank you all so much. And I hope you all have a wonderful night. And I will see you guys tomorrow and we'll move on to day 5. So have a wonderful night.